In today's video, we begin our journey into the Wastelands as none other than the Lone Wanderer. We'll be discovering new areas and walks of life, interacting with characters and people we've never quite seen before, and fighting our way through horrors of mutated creatures and insane humans. How we end up in this scenario is best described by the cutscene that begins the game.
War. War never changes. Since the dawn of humankind, when our ancestors first discovered the killing power of rock and bone, blood has been spilled in the name of everything from God to justice to simple psychotic rage. In the year 2077, after millennia of armed conflict, the destructive nature of man could sustain itself no longer. The world was plunged into an abyss of nuclear fire and radiation. But it was not, as some had predicted, the end of the world. Instead, the apocalypse was simply the prologue to another bloody chapter of human history. For man had succeeded in destroying the world, but war never changes. In the early days, thousands were spared the horrors of the Holocaust by taking refuge in enormous underground shelters known as vaults. But when they emerged, they had only the hell of the wastes to greet them. All except those in Vault 101. For on that fateful day, when fire rained from the sky, the giant steel door of Vault 101 slid closed and never reopened. It was here you were born. It is here you will die. Because in Vault 101, no one ever enters, and no one ever leaves.
The scene ends and our life begins.
Let's see. Are you a boy or a girl? It's a boy. A boy. We've got a son, Catherine. A beautiful, healthy baby boy.
Oh, James. We did it. A son. Our beautiful son.
You've got a bright future ahead of you, son. I'm sure of it. Look at you. Look at you. Hi there. I'm your daddy, little guy. Daddy. You're going to need a name, aren't you? Your mother and I have been talking. What do you think about...
They decided on the name Bard, which is strange, but I suppose we'll take it.
That's a good name, don't you think? Fits you perfectly. Looks like they've finished the gene projection. Let's see what you'll look like when you're all grown up.
We peer at the award-winning genetics of our mother and father to see what we'll look like when we're older. Although, as a baby, it really doesn't mean anything to us.
You're going to look a lot like your dad. See that, Catherine?
Oh, very strapping.
It's a big world out there, son. Full of all sorts of people. What about you? What kind of person are you going to be? You're just
James?
Catherine?
James?
Catherine! She's in cardiac arrest. Start compression. Get the baby out of here. Move! Move! 1,000. 1,000. Come on. Hang on.
The scene flashes to white and we're officially 1 year old.
Failed to meet James and his cheery chatter.
Decorations,
May your
just
future be
tonight
bright.
employees in this place will feel just like home. Come on over here, son. Come on. Walk to daddy.
Our dad is beckoning us over. Curious, we look around the room and see that it's our bedroom. We walk over to and interact with our father.
There you go. My goodness, just a year old and already walking like a pro. Your mother would have been so proud. Listen, kiddo, I know you don't like it when Daddy leaves you alone, but I need you to take care of yourself for a minute. You just stay here while Daddy runs to his office. You'll be okay, pal. I'll be back in a bit.
Our dad closes our playpen and walks away, leaving us to our own devices. He's unaware that we're smarter than we look, and we open up the gate. Wandering around the room, we see our crib, our toys, and a Bible verse from Revelations framed on a dresser. Stumbling around, we see a book on the ground that says "You're Special." We pick it up to read it. S is for strength, and that means I am strong. I can carry more toys and swing stuff all day long. P is for perception, a long funny word. It means what I tasted, smelled, saw, and heard. E is for endurance, and that's how long I can play. I'm always really healthy, and I have energy all day. C is for charisma. It's why people think I'm great. I make friends all laugh and smile and never want to hate. I is for intelligence. It means I'm really smart. I use my brain for lots of stuff like science, math, and art. A is for agility. That's how I get around. I move real fast and easy, and I never make a sound. L is for luck, and it's simple, you see. It means that good things always happen to me. The final page is a condensed version of dispensing our points into all of the attributes. Everything is at 5, we have 5 points to spend, but we can also take points out of any of the 7. We end up with a stat sheet of 8 points in strength, 3 points in perception, 7 points in endurance, 3 points in charisma, 9 points in intelligence, 3 points in agility, and 7 points in luck. Closing the book and waiting around a bit more, our dad finally returns back to us and begins to talk.
You are quite the little explorer, aren't you? Serves me right for trying to pin you in. Come on over here. I want to show you something. See that? It was your mother's favorite passage. It's from the Bible. Revelation 21:6. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. She always loved that. All right, come on. Let's go see if your little friend Amada wants to play.
We follow our dad, and the screen flashes to white, bringing us to the age of 10 years old.
Don't be a damn fool. We experiment to prepare. We prepare to survive. Of course I can survive.
Stanley, you turned the lights on too fast.
Stay more than
You
once.
blinded the poor kid.
Happy birthday.
Can you believe it? He is growing up so fast.
Happy birthday, pal. I can't believe you're already 10. I'm so proud of you. If only your mother...
Congratulations, young man. I don't have to tell you how special this day is, do I? Down here in Vault 101, when you turn 10, well, you're ready to take on your first official Vault responsibilities. So here you are. As Overseer, I hereby present to you your very own Pip-Boy 3000. Get used to it. You'll be getting your first work assignment tomorrow.
Enjoy your party. You're only 10 once, so have fun.
It's our birthday, and we're given our very own Pip-Boy. This advanced piece of technology displays our stats, items, and data, and will essentially be our lifeline for the rest of our lives. We go around to the party guests to speak with them.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. Really cool party and everything. I know that, Butch and I give you a hard time, but you don't take that seriously, right? Anyway, happy birthday and everything. I better get back to, you know.
What are you? Happy birthday! We really surprised you, didn't we? Your dad was afraid you were onto us, but I told him not to worry. You're so easy to fool. You're such a liar. Okay, if you're so smart, what did I get you for your birthday? Gross! I didn't think you even liked girls. And you know what I mean, before you say something rude about me. I guess maybe I should give this to someone else. Someone who likes Grognak the Barbarian better than me and Christine. The question is, how could you tell the difference?
We go on to our Pip-Boy and scroll into the aid section of items. By reading this issue of Grognak the Barbarian, our melee weapon stat increases by 1. we go back to speaking with the other party guests.
I hope you appreciate the effort Amata put into this party. She really seems to like you, for some reason. I do not allow the fact that Amata is my daughter to compromise my position as overseer. I gave her all the appropriate paternal encouragement, of course, but I could not contribute extra vault resources. That is simply what my position requires. No more, no less. I know Amata understands that perfectly well.
Are you having a nice time? Are you having a nice party? 10 years old. My. Seems like only yesterday that your daddy came. Goodness, listen to me ramble. You're waiting for your present, aren't you? Well now, young people were more polite back in my day, respected their elders. Of course, we had a real overseer back then, worthy of respect. Not like that one over there with his rules and his secrets. Why, I have half a mind to just up and tell you. Oh my, there I go again with my old lady talk, and you still waiting patiently for your present. I suppose you could have asked more politely, but it is still your birthday, so here you go. A nice sweet roll I baked just for you.
Out of nowhere, a robot named Andy pulls out a buzzsaw and completely destroys our cake. Amata is in distress over it, and our childhood bully, Butch, has some words for us.
I'm hungry, and that stupid robot destroyed the cake. Give me that sweet roll you got from Old Lady Palmer. Don't you talk about my mom, you little punk.
I'm not sure anyone else.
Butch starts beating on us, and there's nothing we can do to fight back. Pretty soon, a man named Officer Gomez steps in to pull Butch off of us.
Leave him alone.
What are you looking at,
Supposed to be a
dork face?
party, you know? Fun. You should try it sometime, Daddy.
You all right,
You
son?
might like it.
He didn't hurt you, did he? I hope Butch didn't hurt you. You want to tell me what that was all about? That's fine, son. I'm glad to see you're not letting Butch bully you. He's gonna be a handful in a few years if his mother doesn't take him in hand. Well, no harm done then. Why don't you get back to enjoying your party?
What's Butch's problem, anyway? I can't believe he tried to start a fight at your own birthday party. What a jerk. You never learn, do you? You can't help shooting your mouth off even when you know it's gonna get you a bloody nose. Uh-oh, your dad is giving me a look. I better let everybody else have a turn with the birthday boy.
We approach another boy our age named Wally Mack and speak with him.
I'm sure.
This party's pretty good, I guess. For a little kid. Balloons, party hats. Not as cool as my party, though. Remember how my dad got Andy to do magic tricks? And we all played Hunt the Mutant in the atrium? Oh, right. You weren't invited to my party. Too bad, man. It was really fun.
Turning around, we see our dad sitting with another grown man, Stanley. We go to speak with him.
How do you like that Pip-Boy, son? Fit all right and everything? As a matter of fact, I did. I'm glad you like it. Some may think the A series is a bit basic, but I've always preferred them for their reliability. Don't mention it. Oh, yes, I almost forgot. Happy birthday! Not much, but I hope you like it.
We see our dad get up and head towards the door. We follow him and see where he's going.
Are you all right? Is Butch giving you a hard time again? I'm glad to hear it. Once you start letting bullies push you around, you'll never see the end of it. Come on now. I bet there's someone else out there with a present for you.
You or me? No way!
Jonas?
Hey, Doc. We're all set down here.
Hello, Officer Gomez.
Thanks.
I'm glad
I'll
you
send
could
him
make
right
it.
down. Hey, that was Jonas on the intercom. He and I have been cooking up a little surprise present. Jonas is waiting for you downstairs on the reactor level. Go ahead. I don't think anyone will mind if you slip out for a few minutes.
We go into the hallway and are quickly approached by a woman named Beatrice.
Happy birthday, dearie. My goodness, I hope I didn't miss the party. They sure did. My. 10 years old already? Why, I can remember helping your dad change your diapers. And now look at you, a great big grown-up 10-year-old with your very own Pip-Boy. Since this was such a special occasion, do you know what I did? I wrote you a poem, just for you. I hope you like it. No, really, I wrote it just for you. I'd never just copy one of my old poems. Well, there was that one Founder's Day where I couldn't rhyme anything with overseer. But you deserve nothing less than a brand new poem. You can keep it in your Pip-Boy and read it whenever you want.
Curious, we look at our Pip-Boy, scroll to notes, and decide to read Beatrice's poem called A Birthday Poem. Gray walls, impenetrable steel. Suffocation, condemnation. Little hands groping in subterranean uncertainty. Mommy, Daddy, am I dead? Nay, reborn into purifying fluorescence. A face emerges, strong and male. Father to me, father to all, overseeing our lives, our eternities. Harshness of discipline, harshness of love, obedience my savior. Larva to pupa, pupa to worker, buzz, one with the steel honeycomb. 10 lies within the 101, significant at last. Till gray seeps from walls to hair, to soul, then eternal slumber, the sweet sleep of incineration. Quite the odd poem, but I suppose nevertheless we're thankful for the gift on our birthday. This is the first time we get to walk through Vault 101. We aren't exactly allowed to roam around, however, as most doorways are either guarded by officers or inaccessible. We make our way to the lower levels of the vault as per request of our father. Down here, we see a man in a lab coat. He approaches and speaks to us.
What are you doing down here, young man? I thought kids weren't allowed down on the reactor level. You sure are. Pip-Boy and everything. Look at that. If you can wait just one more minute, I think your dad will want to give you the surprise himself.
This is Jonas, the man our father talked about. Quickly, our dad comes down and approaches us.
Are you ready for your surprise? The Overseer gave you your Pip-Boy, and you're old enough to do some work, so I figure you're old enough for this. Your own BB gun. It's a little old, but it should work perfectly. Jonas found it down here. It was in pretty rough shape. Took us a good 3 months to find the parts to get it working again. You know how tough it is to find a spring that small? Good thing Butch misplaced that switchblade of his. So, what do you think? Want to give it a try? Easy now. It's only a BB gun, but it's not a toy. Let's go try it out. Jonas and I have found a nice spot for you. Follow me.
We were gifted a BB gun from our dad and Jonas. We follow our dad to a secluded area to test it out.
Well, what do you think? You can come down here and shoot anytime you want. Couldn't have done it without Jonas's help. You make sure to thank him.
We go into our Pip-Boy and equip the BB gun. Pulling it out, the weight and grip feels nice in our hands. We look down the barrel with one eye closed and start shooting at the targets. Out of nowhere, a massive bug appears called a radroach, and our dad warns us to be careful, also asking if we're able to kill it with our new toy. We aim down the sights once again, shooting it 3 times before it's dead.
Good work. That's one less radroach to deal with. Let's get a picture together. Capture the moment. Hey, Jonas, get a picture of me with a big game hunter.
We stand next to our dad as Jonas snaps a picture of us, flashing the scene into white, and we're now 16 years old.
Boys and girls have different parts.
What is her problem anyway? So, I'm the Overseer's daughter, so what? Like, I get any kind of special treatment.
Revelation 21:6. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. As far as I can tell, you're a perfectly healthy 16-year-old boy. So yes, you have to go to class to take your G.O.A.T exam. Go on now. You've got a G.O.A.T to take. The Generalized Occupational Aptitude Test, G.O.A.T. Everyone here in the Vault takes it when they're 16. Helps to figure out what sort of a job you'll have here in Vault 101 when you get a bit older. So, pay attention and try not to fall asleep. You know what the Overseer says? We're born in the Vault, we die in the Vault. Each is tested to determine their abilities, that they may work for the betterment of all Vault residents. Huh. Sound familiar? Hey, it's not my call. Those are the rules. You're 16 now, so this year you take the G.O.A.T. Come on, it's not so bad. Everyone has to take it. You'll do just fine. That's not the way it works, and it won't do to go around asking questions like that, especially not around the Overseer. I want to tell you something now. It's important, so listen closely. This place, this vault, it's not perfect, I know, but it is your home. You're safe here. Stay on the Overseer's good side, and you always will be. You understand? You need to appreciate all you have, because what's up there on the outside, that's not the life I want for you. And it's not what your mother wanted for you either. That's what the Overseer says, isn't it? He's not about to let anyone else in, so I guess that's how it'll have to be. You're here now, and it's a hell of a lot better than being up there. All your mother and I ever wanted was for you to be safe, and you're safe here. No, you're not, really. When I started studying medicine, one of the first things I learned was how to spot a kid playing sick to get out of taking a test. You'll do fine. It's not so bad. Everyone has to take it when they're 16. I had to, you have to, and so does everyone else. And most everyone makes it through without a scratch. Your mother, she was beautiful. But beyond the beauty you've seen. There's just so much those old photos can never show. And she was passionate. About life, about love. But most of all, she was passionate about you. When she became pregnant, it was the happiest I had ever seen her. She had great things in mind for you. And so, time for you to stop stalling and get to class. Please, son, please, take these achievement tests seriously. The last thing I need is your mother's ghost haunting me because her only child became a garbage burner. Take care, son. Now get out of here, and good luck.
We're dismissed by our dad, and it's time to go take our mandatory G.O.A.T exam. We're able to look around his office and loot some things for our inventory. The first thing we notice is a bobblehead on his desk. Picking it up, it permanently boosts our medicine skill by 10 points. We leave the office and wander out into the hallway. We hear some commotion nearby and walk over. Butch and his gang, called the Tunnel Snakes, are harassing our childhood friend Amada. We speak with Butch to get him to back off.
Yeah? What do you want? None of your business, kid. Get out of here before you get hurt. If you mess with the Tunnel Snakes, you're asking for it. Got me? Maybe you're right. We can deal with her later.
Now that the Tunnel Snakes are taken care of, we can talk to Amada to check in on her.
Thanks for getting rid of them. Assholes. I don't know why they won't leave me alone. Just because my father's the overseer, I guess? Idiots.
It's now time to go into the classroom for our G.O.A.T exam.
Well, you made it. All set for the G.O.A.T? Trust me, it really isn't that bad. Just something everybody has to go through.
Remember, Vault 101 is America.
Didn't work on your dad either, did it? Now, unless you have something else you want to discuss, take a seat and prepare for the 2274 edition of the G.O.A.T. I'm sure you will, especially since it's multiple choice with no wrong answers. We'll start as soon as everyone's found a seat. Good luck.
We take a seat at the front of the class, and our exam begins.
Well, now that everyone has managed to find the classroom, we can finally get started. No talking, and keep your eyes to yourselves. Yes, I'm talking to you, Mr. Deloria.
Sure thing, Mr. Brotch.
Unless anyone else has an insightful comment, let's get started. Question 1. A frenzied vault scientist runs up to you and yells, "I'm going to put my quantum harmonizer in your photonic resonation chamber." What's your response?
We decide to say nothing, but slip away before the scientist can continue his rant.
Question 2. While working as an intern in the clinic, a patient with a strange infection in his foot stumbles through the door. The infection is spreading at an alarming rate, but the doctor stepped out for a while. What do you do?
We decide to simply scream for help on this one.
Question 3. You discover a young boy lost in the lower levels of the vault. He's hungry and frightened, but also appears to be in possession of stolen property. What do you do?
We decide to lead the boy to safety and then turn him into the overseer.
Question 4. Congratulations. You've made one of the Vault 101 baseball teams. Which position do you prefer?
We go with designated hitter as our preferred position.
Question 5. Your grandmother invites you to tea, but you're surprised when she gives you a pistol and orders you to kill another vault resident. What do you do?
We have to stick by family, so we decide to obey our elder and kill the resident with the pistol.
Question 6. Old Mr. Abernathy has locked himself in his quarters again, and you've been ordered to get him out. How do you proceed?
We can't leave Mr. Abernathy to die, so we decide to simply use a bobby pin to get into his quarters.
Question 7. Oh no, you've been exposed to radiation, and a mutated hand has grown out of your stomach. What's the best course of treatment?
We decide that the most logical thing would be removal of the amputated tissue with a precision laser.
Question 8. A fellow Vault 101 resident is in possession of a Grognak the Barbarian comic book, issue number 1. You want it. What's the best way to obtain it?
Perhaps the most effective option for getting what we want would be to sneak into the resident's quarters and steal the comic book from his desk.
Question 9. You decided it would be fun to play a prank on your father. You enter his private restroom when no one is looking, and...
We don't want to make our lives miserable or inconvenienced by this prank either, so we decide to manipulate the power wattage on his razor so he'll get an electric shock the next time he shaves.
Question 10. Who is indisputably the most important person in Vault 101? He who shelters us from the harshness of the atomic wasteland, and to whom we owe everything we have, including our lives.
All of the answers are the same. We reluctantly pick the Overseer.
Pencils down, people. That's it. The infamous G.O.A.T. I'm sure most of you didn't find it so bad. Others, well, there are always openings in the maintenance department. Don't forget to hand in your test before you leave. You don't want to know what happens to people who fail the G.O.A.T. You can have the rest of the day off to celebrate or to pray as the situation warrants.
The G.O.A.T exam has concluded. We go over to the teacher, Mr. Broch, and hand it in.
Apparently you're management material. You're going to be trained as a shift supervisor. Could I be talking to the next overseer? Stranger things have happened. Ha! Closer to reality than you might think. Listen, I was just as obnoxious at your age. I didn't take the G.O.A.T seriously, and look where I ended up. Just between you and me. The whole test is a joke. If you don't like the results, I can make your G.O.A.T come out any way you want. Just let me know.
We're directed over to our skills menu. Here, we pick 3 that we want to gain an additional boost in. Each stat is important in its own way to every different playstyle. However, there are a few that are universally needed. Our answers on the G.O.A.T auto-selected lockpick, melee weapons, and sneak for us. We don't really want any of these for our character, so we decide to pick medicine, as healing will be imperative for our survival in the Wasteland. Repair is also a must for us, as we'll be constantly wearing out our weapons and armor in battle. And finally, we chose small guns, as our character will be a sharpshooter and main pistols and rifles as their weapon. We lock in our skills and leave the classroom. The screen turns white, and we flash forward to the age of 19.
Even an A.
Mr. Broch here to save you now. Is he? Selfish and insubordinate.
Wake up! Come on, wake up!
These things. I'm not going to be around to hold your hand forever.
Come on! You've got to wake up! You've got to get out of here. Your dad is gone, and my father's men are looking for you. He's left the vault. I don't know how, but he's gone. And my father, he's kind of gone crazy. It's Jonas! They killed him! My father's men. They took him and... Oh my God, you have to leave now! Yeah, it's lucky I got here ahead of them, but we can't stand here talking. You've got to get out of here. Not anymore, apparently. But are you honestly telling me you had no idea your dad was leaving? He really didn't tell you? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure he had his reasons. Maybe Jonas was supposed to explain everything to you? But it doesn't matter. I can help you escape. I have my own plan. Listen. There's a secret tunnel that leads directly from my father's office to the exit. You'll have to hack the computer in his office to open it. Use these to get into his office. That's how I always get in. Oh, one more thing. I stole my father's pistol. I hope you won't need it, but you'd better take it just in case. Okay, I'll try to meet you at the exit. Watch out for security. Good luck!
Our father disappeared, Jonas was killed, and the entire vault is looking for us. Amata handed us a 10mm pistol, as things might get crazy down here. We can finally take out our hands and begin attacking. We wander around the room, looting as much as we can, taking our BB gun and its ammo, medicinal supplies, and even useless things that have a value tied to them. We equip the BB gun and exit our quarters. Immediately, we're spotted by an officer. We ready our weapon, but he turns his attention elsewhere. 3 rad roaches surround Officer Kendall and kill him, completely biting off his leg. We shoot down the rad roaches one by one and even finally get to use VATS, Vault Tech Assisted Targeting System. This allows us to zone in on our enemies and accurately place our shots on specific body parts, increasing our kill efficiency. We take Officer Kendall's armor and equip it for ourselves. We carefully move around, checking each room for hostiles, when all of a sudden, a familiar face approaches us.
You gotta help me! My mom's trapped in there with the rat roaches! Yeah, I'm asking you. So what? Look, I'm sorry for the way I've always treated you. You know I never meant any of it, right? But it's my mom. You can't leave her in there with the rad roaches. Sure, I don't care why. Just get her out of there.
Out of the goodness of our heart for Butch's mom, we decide to help her out. Following Butch, he leads us to their quarters. Inside, Ellen Deloria is getting lunged at by 3 rad roaches. Any longer under these conditions and she'll surely die. We target each bug and shoot them down, successfully saving our bully's mom.
We did it! My mom's gonna be okay! You're the best friend I've ever had, man! Hey, I know it isn't much, but I want you to have my Tunnel Snake's jacket. Go ahead, take it.
We continue moving and see just how devastated the vault has become. Everyone is in a panic, residents are dead, and man-eating bugs are infesting the tight metal hallways. We go through a door leading us to the atrium and see Officer Gomez as well as the robot Andy fighting back against the rad roaches. We're unaware of what they'll do to us, but once the rad roaches are defeated, we speak with Gomez to find out.
Oh, you're lucky it was me who found you. The others won't be so forgiving. I don't know what you're up to, and I don't want to know. Just clear out of here, and I'll pretend I never saw you. It's a real shame it's come to this. I can't believe what they did to Jonas. Officer Mack was just out of control. But you're a good kid. You didn't do anything to deserve this. Go find your dad if you can.
We leave this area and go into the atrium. Here, we see 2 other dwellers discussing their escape from the vault. A man named Tom and a woman named Mary. Tom makes a break for the doorway, leaving Mary behind. All of a sudden, he gets brutally gunned down, and it's revealed that there are 2 officers armed with guns defending the entrance. Mary, completely hysterical, runs after Tom and also gets mowed down by the officers. The BB gun isn't going to cut it anymore, so we switch over to the 10mm pistol and engage in a firefight with the corrupt security. Using VATS, we shoot down Officer O'Brien, leaving a one-on-one between us and Officer Richards. This was our first time taking a human life. We didn't know how to feel about it, as it was in self-defense, the either him or me mentality, but it's something our character never really forgets about. Both officers are shot dead, and we make our way upstairs. Banging on some glass is a man who blames us and our father for the ensuing chaos in the vault. We're hurt by these words, but deep down, we know there's truth to them. Turning the corner, we're charged at by Security Chief Hannon, our acquaintance, Paul Hannon's father. We're forced to fight back, ultimately killing him. We continue to make our way through the vault and come across the sight of the Overseer and Officer Mac interrogating Amada. This enrages us, and we open the door to intervene. Officer Mac comes charging at us with a baton, and us seeing red, aim the barrel at his head and fire away. We step over the fresh corpse and angrily go to speak with the Overseer.
I hope you're here to turn yourself in, young man. You're already in enough trouble as it is. Don't make it worse for yourself. Oh, is that all? Is there anything else I can get you while you're here? You'll get nothing from me. I'll die before I see the safety of the vault compromised again. My God, you're a cold-blooded little shit, aren't you? I think you'd actually do it. Here, take them and leave the vault. I'll have you shot on sight if you ever come back.
We would never actually hurt our friend Amada, but we needed the Overseer to hand over the necessary information for our escape. We continue along and make our way into a room connecting to the Overseer's office. Lying lifeless in a pool of blood is our dad's dearest friend, Jonas. We look into his inventory and find a note from our father. We take it, pop it into our Pip-Boy, and give it a listen.
Hold on, Jonas. I need to record this first. I don't really know how to tell you this. I hope you'll understand, but I know you might be angry. I thought about it for a long time, but in the end, I decided it was best for you not to know. So many things could have gone wrong, and there's really no telling how the Overseer will react when he finds out. It's best if he can blame everything on me. Obviously, you already know that I'm gone. It was something I needed to do. You're an adult now. You're ready to be on your own. Maybe someday things will change and we can see each other again. I can't tell you why I left or where I'm going. I don't want you to follow me. God knows life in the vault isn't perfect, but at least you'll be safe. Just knowing that will be enough to keep me going.
Don't mean to rush you, Doc, but I'd feel better if we got this over with.
Okay, go ahead. Goodbye. I love you.
Our dad leaving was a premeditated act, and it sounded like he left for a very important reason, almost like he was on a mission of some sorts. However, it doesn't change the fact that he never said bye. In one of the rooms nearby, Amada is sitting and shaken up from the commotion. We speak with her.
Thank you! I told you my father wasn't himself. I don't know what he might have done if you hadn't come along. You'd better get out of here. I'll try to meet you at the vault door if I don't make it. Good luck.
We use the Overseer's office key to unlock the door. In this room, we make our way over to a computer and access the terminal. We use it to open the Overseer's tunnel, which is our way out of this place. Quickly taking a peek at the other articles on this computer, the Overseer has kept logs and updates on multiple residents of the vault. We read Butch's, and it says, if Butch and his leather-clad delinquents accost Amada one more time, they'll have more to deal with than their acerbic teacher. Their services have come in handy upon occasion, I must admit, but they're starting to become unruly. If dogs become feral, they must be put down. I'll have to remind Butch of that upon our next meeting. Clearly, the Overseer isn't above shady deeds himself. We exit the terminal and watch as his desk opens up, revealing the secret tunnels. Down here, we fight some rad roaches and find ourselves staring down the entrance and exit way of Vault 101. We activate some buttons and the vault begins to open. Amada runs over to us and we witness the mighty vault door open up.
Oh my god, you actually opened it. You did it! You opened the door! My god, I almost didn't believe it was possible. No, you didn't need me. If anyone can survive out there, it's you. It's tempting, but my place is here. The vault needs me more than you do. I'm the only one who has a chance to talk some sense into my father. Listen, if you do catch up with your dad, tell him I'm sorry for you know, Jonas and my father and everything. Goodbye.
It looks like we'll be traversing the wastelands all alone. All of a sudden, 2 more officers barge in and charge at us. We gun down Officer Wolf and follow up with his partner, Officer Park. We approach the vault door, step over the mechanism, walking through a natural cave for the first time in our lives. We look back and see that the vault door is shutting behind us. We walk through the doorway and get hit with the natural light. We open our eyes and see a ravaged and completely destroyed landscape, hence its name, the Wasteland. The wind blows on us, the sun hits our skin, and the sounds and smells are strong and prominent. We receive quite a few notifications about broadcasts signaling out, all of them unique in their own way. It's now time to set out into this forsaken country and find our father. This is our first time seeing the quote-unquote overworld, and we're pretty taken aback. Everything is destroyed, things are blown up, and there's radiation everywhere. Everything's been picked apart and there isn't a human soul around. We find a little town first called Springvale. This is the remnants of what human civilization looked like before the Great War. We see a weird robot flying around. Getting in closer, it's called an Enclave iBot. We try to interact with it, but it doesn't do much, doesn't talk back to us, and all it does is play music. However, it's not hurting us, so we won't hurt it. We explore Springvale for a little bit before we see a house that we can actually enter inside of. We go through the door and actually interact with a human being.
Who the hell are you? Where'd you come from? Did Moriarty send you?
We tell her to calm down and then ask who Moriarty is.
Colin Moriarty, the owner of Moriarty's Saloon in Megaton. That sack of shit is convinced that I'm some crazy junkie who stole money from him.
We try our luck and ask her for some caps.
Look, I don't know who you are. I'm not just handing over my life's earnings to you.
We insist that she just hand over some of her caps and we'll tell this Colin that she's gone.
You do that for me? I never expected anyone to care enough. Here you go. Thanks, kid. You're all right.
As for our first human interaction in the Wasteland, that didn't go so bad. Things could have gone sour, but we talked our way out of it. Looking around Silver's home, we do see a lot of drugs, implying that she's likely a junkie. We also see some supplies that could be useful for us, so we go back to Silver and do the unthinkable. We have a long journey ahead of us to find our father. The Wasteland is brutal, so we have to match that energy. Silver was likely alone, and she wasn't doing anybody good being out here, so we decided to end her life and take all of her goods for ourselves. We could use those stim packs. We could sell all of those drugs for some hard-earned caps. Everything we could think of to justify our actions. In reality, we know what we did was wrong. Would our dad be proud of us? Most likely not, but our number one priority is to find him. Silver mentioned that this Colin Moriarty lives in a town called Megaton. We remember seeing signs for Megaton in Springvale, so we follow them and end up at the door of the city. Outside, we see these massive ants that we've never seen before. They're definitely mutated and they look incredibly dangerous. We hear a very loud noise and it looks like an airplane engine is turning, lifting the city gates for us, allowing us inside. We see a less than fortunate man sitting on the ground just outside of the city. We approach him and speak with him.
Oh, thank God. Someone new. I need water, please. Water.
We ask him if any water will do.
I've been drinking this irradiated shit, and I can't do it. I just throw it up now. I need purified water, please.
We offer him some of our purified water.
I mean, you don't want anything for it? I don't have any caps or anything. I can just have it for free?
We certainly aren't going to give it to him for free.
I knew it was too good to be true. There are no good souls in the Wasteland. Go. Just leave me alone to die.
Well, as per Mickey's request, we leave him alone, and then we enter inside of Megaton. We go through the city gates, and a man approaches us.
Name's Lucas Sims, town sheriff, and mayor too, when the need arises. I don't know why, but I like you, boy. Something tells me you're all right. So welcome to Megaton. Just holler if you need something.
We compliment him about the town and say it's a pleasure to meet him.
Friendly and well-mannered. I think we're gonna get along just fine. You treat my people nice, and you're welcome to stay as long as you'd like.
We tell him we understand.
I'm glad we understand each other. Now, is there something I can help you with?
We tell Lucas that we're looking for our father.
Nope, sorry. I got enough fires to put out in this place that I don't have time to keep tabs on every visitor. I'd ask around town.
We ask him if he knows anything about the local area.
It's called the Wasteland for a reason. But there are settlements too, spread all around. The human race is stubborn like that. To the south you've got Rivet City, but don't bother going to D.C. The place is a war zone.
We ask to hear more about the city.
What do you want to know?
We ask him why the city is called Megaton.
The town's named after the bomb that's sitting in the middle of it. It hasn't gone off yet.
A bit freaked out by this, we let him know that he's living on borrowed time.
Maybe. So long as you stay away from the bomb, I see my chances of a long life improving. I hope we understand each other.
We tell him we don't plan on sticking around very long anyways.
Fine. Enjoy your stay in Megaton. Don't get into any trouble, and we'll go on pretending we're friends.
We end the conversation.
Have a good one.
We've been formally introduced to the town of Megaton. Our dad likely rolled through here when he left Vault 101, however, we're not really given any leads by Lucas Sims. We're kind of left to our own devices to figure things out. We wander around a little bit before stopping to talk to a food vendor named Jenny Stahl.
Now, I know I've never seen you in Megaton before. Well, let me guess. Just passing through, right? We get people trying to settle down here all the time. Anyway, if you're hungry, you came to the right place. What can I get you?
We ask her if she's seen our father.
Oh man, you're looking for your dad? That is so sweet. Did he run out on you when you were a kid or something? Our parents died when we were kids. My brother Leo, he's the oldest. He raised my brother Andy and me. It was hard on him, but we turned out okay. But God, you don't want to hear about that. I'm sorry, but I haven't seen your dad. He didn't eat at the Brass Lantern. I'd remember if he did.
Unfortunately, we don't learn anything, so we exit the conversation.
Have a good one, stranger.
We remember that woman we encountered earlier, Silver. She mentioned something about a Colin Moriarty in the city of Megaton. We look around to see where Colin could possibly be based out of, when finally, we run into somebody who might know something.
Ah, look. Another one of you Wasteland assholes. Look here, asshole. I don't like you. Stay clear of me and we'll have no trouble.
We tell him we're looking for our father.
Are you fucking kidding me? Get out of my face.
We use our strength and attempt to intimidate him.
Well now, that's something I didn't expect. You're scrappy for a little vault twerp, aren't you? Maybe I had you wrong, kid. You're okay. Now what did you want to know?
We ask him again if he's seen our dad.
I usually avoid most of the Wasteland types that come through here. But there was one guy. Unlike most of the wannabe heroes that come in here, he looked like he could actually read a book without giving himself a headache. He spent a bunch of time in Moriarty's before moving on. I tried talking to Colin.
We end the conversation.
Come back if you need something.
There it is, a second mention of Colin Moriarty. This is probably the person we want to go speak to. We wander around a little bit more before finding his saloon. Entering inside, we see a few citizens going about their life. We wander around to the back door and open it. The compass points us to Colin Moriarty.
Colin Moriarty, at your service. Welcome to Moriarty's. My saloon, my home, my slice of heaven in this backwoods little burg. If you've got the caps, I've got your pleasure. Please sit down, make yourself comfortable. Your troubles are a thing of the past.
We tell him we're looking for our father.
My God, it's you. The little baby boy all grown up. Persistent little bastard, ain't you? Then and now, it would seem. It's been a long time, kid. Oh, your daddy passed through here all right. Here and gone. Got what he came for and then left. I'm assuming you'll do the same, correct?
We tell him we were born in Vault 101.
Is that what your father told you? That you were born in that hole? That he was born there as well? Oh, the lies we tell to those we love. Your father brought you to the vault right after you were born. To keep you safe, you see. I remember it well. You stayed in my saloon, after all. That's right. Your father, his Brotherhood of Steel friend, and you, the suckling babe with nary a tit to suckle. Sorry about your mom, truly. But life goes on. Daddy lied. Life's full of little disappointments. And now you're all grown up and wondering where he's gone to.
We tell him that our dad told us we were born in Vault 101.
Ah, I see. You know, I heard about the brainwashing that goes on down there. From some other fella, escaped. 5 years back. All hail the overseer. We're born in the vault, we die in the vault, and all that other assorted lunacy. Kid, you've got better programming than our own Deputy Weld. You'd best wise up quick. Wouldn't want anyone taking advantage of you, hmm?
We cut to the chase and just ask where we can find our dad.
You seem like a nice kid, so I'm going to be straight with you. Your dad was here, and now he's not. And yes, I know where he went. But what you're asking me for is information, and information is a commodity. Let's say 100 cops, and Daddy's location is yours. Very reasonable.
It's almost like this was a sign for killing Silver. We agree.
Excellent. Your dad raised a smart kid. Really no substitute for the love of a father, now is there? Speaking of dear old Dad, he went southeast into D.C. to the Galaxy News radio station. Good luck now.
Well, that covers that. We know we have to go to this Galaxy News radio station in the capital, which is exactly where Lucas Sims told us not to go. Before leaving, we see something that kind of freaks us out.
Radio. Hey, Smoothskin, do you need something? A drink, maybe? Anything? Anything at all?
We ask this thing what it is.
Haven't you ever seen a ghoul before?
We tell him we haven't.
Well, not all of us got the chance to hole up in a nice cushy vault when the bombs fell. A bunch of us got stuck out here in the world and got a full-on blast of heat and radiation. Turned us into a pack of walking corpses. Near as I can tell, we age slower than you. A lot slower. There were even a few ghouls that were alive during the war. Of course, with a face like ground Brahmin meat, you can imagine that folks don't take too kindly to us.
Feeling sorry, we lie and say it's not so bad.
Nice of you to say so. If you can't be nice, at least pretend, right? Fake it till you make it and all that. Still, though, a fake compliment is better than the usual spit in the face that I get. You're not half bad for a smooth skin.
We ask about Galaxy News Radio.
Mr. Moriarty says we can keep it on. It's a good radio station. I like hearing the DJ, Three Dog, and how he's helping to fight the good fight. If only I was a part of that, instead of being stuck in this dive.
We end the conversation.
Come back soon.
We leave Moriarty's saloon, make sure we're completely stocked up on our supplies, and make for the exit of Megaton. We're a little nervous. We were warned against going to DC, however, that's where our father went, so we have to go there. But we don't quite know what dangers await us. We know Galaxy News Radio is there, and we know that somebody by the name of Three Dog is in charge of the station, so maybe that's who we look for, but we're not totally sure. We encounter our first enemy in the Wastelands. It's a bloatfly. It looks like a mutated gigantic fly, but this thing shoots something at us, and when it hits, it hurts. Fortunately, it doesn't take too many shots to take down, and we're free to move on. We go east in the direction of our compass. We're not exactly sure what awaits us besides Galaxy News radio station, and we do see the city of DC getting closer and closer. It also looks like DC was hit pretty hard by the bombs. We turn the corner of something called a super duper mart and see another human get demolished by these gigantic ants. We see by a nameplate that it's called a giant soldier ant, and there's 4 of them. One of them happens to be very big, and it's most likely the alpha. Even with some headshots in VATS, the giant soldier ant takes a lot of bullets before it goes down. The remaining 3, called worker ants, aren't so difficult to take out. A few shots to their heads and bodies, and they go down. We press onwards and come to a body of water. It looks like this inlet runs around DC. It seems like we have to cross it in order to get to our destination. We look and see that there's an overpass intact, but it's pretty far out. We weigh our options and just jump in the water. All things considered, it's not the worst. We're only gaining 1 radiation point per second according to our Pip-Boy, and we cross in no time. We discover a new location called Farragut West Metro Station. It seems like an allusion to Fort Farragut from Oblivion. The compass points us down there, but before we entertain it, we actually see that there's a humanoid standing off in the distance. We approach them and they turn aggressive towards us, shooting us with their pistol. We engage and shoot back at them. It looks like we have the upper hand, which we do, and all of a sudden, shots get fired at the raider from another direction. It looks like there's a group of hunters that are wandering through and saw the raider as a threat as well. We go up to his dead corpse and loot his goods, as he won't be needing them any longer. Looking at our compass, we see that there are other red markers. We make the fatal error of engaging and jumping down at them. We get point blank hit by a shotgun multiple times, and then out comes the minigun. Within seconds, our character takes their first death. It's been a while since we saved, actually since we left Megaton, so we have to go through that whole ordeal again. We get back to the same spot and kill the raider. This time, they're wielding a hunting rifle, which will greatly benefit us for early game. Then, instead of engaging with the other raiders, we make our way to the metro station. Down here, the air is heavy and it's quite quiet, which leaves us a little bit unsettled. We make our way into one of the side rooms and see that there's actually a metro security terminal we can access. This is where we're introduced to the game's hacking feature. Essentially, numerous lines of code will pop up and we have to pick random words to see which one is the actual password. We have 4 attempts at guessing correctly. The computer will let us know if we have any of the correct letters. Filled in with the words are a plethora of symbols and signs. By activating certain signs, we can actually remove some of the dud passwords. Our first guess is the word grief, and we see that we have 3 out of 5 of the letters correct. Then, we try the word cried, and we're in. From here, the only thing that actually works is activating the Metro Protectron. We see that a metal chamber opens up, and a Robco robot comes out. We move on to the next part of the metro station. We see red markers pop up on our compass, meaning that there are enemies nearby. Peering around the corner, we see creatures we haven't seen before. These are called mole rats, and they're a giant mutated quadruped. They don't hit particularly hard, and they don't take too many shots to kill either. Moving on through the rest of the station, we come to a factory of sorts. Going up some stairs, we hear some hideous growling. On the other side of a gate locked in are creatures that look exactly like G.O.A.T. They're ghouls, but these ones seem like they want to cause us harm, like they're not in their right mind. Unfortunately, our compass points us right through the locked gate and in their direction, so we have to pick the lock and set the ghouls free. We're immediately rushed by the feral ghouls and they begin attacking us. For half-dead creatures, they move extremely quickly and attack with a lot of power. We realize early on that if we're not careful, we're going to be overwhelmed, so we take out the hunting rifle, and every shot we take a few steps back. We manage to kill 2 of the ghouls on our own before running into the assistance of the Protectron. Now we can make our way to that previously locked area, go to the door that our compass was pointing us at, unlock that, and travel to the next zone. Down in the subway tunnels, it's even more ominous. We see rad roaches run by, yet they don't really care about us. Traveling onward, we see a few red markers pop up on our compass. In the distance, shrouded by the dust and rubble, we see a massive figure approach from the entrance. It's humanoid in nature, but it most certainly is not a human. Whatever it is, it's fighting off feral ghouls and the rad roaches, so it could be on our side, right? We attempt to get close to it, but see it's chasing a rad roach up the escalator. We follow suit, and as soon as we get to the top, whatever this thing is tosses a grenade at us. Fortunately, we got out of the way in time, but we now know that it's not friendly. A ghoul pops out of nowhere and we have to kill it. 1 shot to the head will do, and then we continue back up the escalator. Our nameplate says that it's a super mutant. We follow it until it decides to turn around and take a big swing at our head. We go into VATS and shoot it multiple times in the face. The second shot practically blinds it, but it's still up and ready to attack. We fire off a few more rounds before the super mutant is finally killed. We advance to level 3 and assign 19 skill points. However, at this point, all we want is to just leave the subway tunnels. It looks like our wish is granted, as when we turn the corner, we see a bunch of corpses from ghouls and the exit. Finally emerging back out into the wasteland, we see that we're placed right in the middle of DC. We follow our compass south, and out of nowhere, we're under fire. 2 super mutants with hunting rifles are shooting at us and causing a lot of damage. We take cover, getting ready for the long fight, when all of a sudden, the super mutants are getting shot at by lasers. In no time, both of them fall dead. We cautiously approach the dead mutants and loot their bodies. We're unsure if whoever fired on them will fire on us, so we make our way towards them slowly and carefully.
Look, I don't know who you are, but you don't belong here. The super mutants have overrun our brothers at the Galaxy News radio building, and we're headed there to back them up. You can tag along if you want, but keep your head down and try not to do anything stupid.
We thank her for the assist.
You've been living under a rock? This is DC. The entire city is crawling with super mutants. Now, if you'll excuse me.
We ask her about Galaxy News Radio.
There aren't a lot of safe places in the ruins right now, but the Galaxy News radio building is sort of our port in the storm. Unfortunately, the building's been hit pretty hard lately. We're their backup. So if there are no more questions, we really need to move out.
We end the conversation.
Watch yourself out there.
Well, whoever these guys are, we definitely want to follow them considering what they did to those super mutants. They're most likely extremely powerful and stocked up on weapons and gear. Turning the corner, we see that there's even more of them. There's even a dead one lying in bed.
All clear, Sentinel. 5 mutants released from their torment. The rest are keeping their heads down.
Good. Jennings?
Negative.
A new recruit?
Just a stray we picked up. The one that blundered into the uglies over on 42nd.
Welcome.
All right, it's the usual drill. Redden, you just do whatever Paladin Vargas says and keep your mouth shut.
Yes, ma'am.
We charge out with the squadron and are met by resistance from some super mutants. We do what we can and it starts to get pretty hairy. All of a sudden, the screen goes white. A car blows up, our health goes way down, and we're even crippled. Regardless, we have to keep moving and follow our companions inside of an elementary school. With our broken arm, our aim's pretty lousy, so we have to use a Stimpak to heal it. The Uglies, as they're called, have a whole fortress set up inside of here. They're hiding in corners, waiting to sneak attack, and they're also taking pot shots from the rafters. Exiting the elementary school, we see a small battalion of super mutants taking on a building. That building has more of our companions in armor fighting back, and it looks like there's even the letters GNR written on it, meaning that this is Galaxy News Radio. It appears that the mutated attackers are all taken care of. We walk up to Sentinel Lyons and speak with her.
You can follow us as far as GNR, but keep your head down if you don't want it to get blown off.
We ask them what company they're a part of.
The name's Sarah Lyons, Sentinel and Squad Commander of the Lyons Pride. We're with the Brotherhood of Steel. We do our best to hold back the super mutants in this area, but when civilians stumble into our sights, that gets a bit difficult, doesn't it?
We end the conversation.
Watch yourself out there.
So our heroes are actually something called the Brotherhood of Steel, which seems to be a pretty unique and powerful faction. We go up to the GNR station and speak with the intercom.
Door stays closed until we finish securing the perimeter.
Well, it definitely looks like everything around here is dead. However, that's when we hear it. A massive, ungodly creature called a super mutant behemoth rushes its way and charges into the Galaxy News Radio Square. In a panic yet organized unison, we all fire our shots at it. It seems to be using some kind of pole as its weapon. Being on the other end of that swing will render anybody dead. It takes up almost all of our ammo from our newly found assault rifle. However, slowly but surely, its health goes down. In a brave and dumb manner, we meet it head on in the square and fire away, ultimately killing the super mutant behemoth. We loot it and find some very useful supplies, then speak with Sentinel Lyons yet again.
I guess it's my turn to thank you. Anyway, the area's secure, so you're free to talk to Three Dog if you need to.
We tell them that they don't mess around.
I'll take that as a compliment. If we don't try to keep the mutants from killing everyone and everything in the capital Wasteland, who will? The Brotherhood does its best, but sometimes it takes a little something special. That's where the Lion's Pride comes in.
We tell her we're sorry about Redden.
She died well. In the end, that's all that really matters.
We ask if there's anything else she can tell us about GNR.
Well, the Brotherhood needed a secure outpost, and the guy who runs the radio station needed to not get his head ripped off by super mutants. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. Three Dog is the man in charge. He keeps that signal broadcasting pretty much single-handedly. He's, interesting. I'll give him that much.
We end the conversation.
Watch yourself out there.
We return back to the intercom.
Looks like it's all clear, unlocking outer doors.
We can now go inside of the Galaxy News radio station. Immediately, we come face to face with two more Brotherhood of Steel members. They're aiming weapons at us, but they see we're not hostile and don't fire. We make our way to the GNR studios and ascend some stairs. Waiting at the top is somebody we've heard a lot about.
The look on your face says it all. You're wondering who the heck this guy is and why you should care. Well, prepare to be enlightened. I am 3 Dog, jockey of discs and teller of truths, lord and master over the finest radio station to grace the wastes, Galaxy News Radio. And you, well, I know who you are. Heard about you leaving that vault, traveling the unknown, just like dear old Dad, huh? Met him already.
We ask him what's with the flashy introduction.
Hey, when you're in the good fight, you gotta give it all you got and never ever hold back. Always dazzle them, I always say. Always dazzle them and spread the word.
We ask him what the good fight is all about.
Imagine a picture, okay? A picture of the capital Wasteland. All that brick and rock. A whole lot of nothing, right? There's people out there trying to just barely make it from day to day, fighting to stay alive and make something out of what they got. But then you've got all kinds of shit. Slavers, super mutants, raiders. They all want a slice of the pie too, and aim to take it by force.
We say that he uses his voice to fight the good fight.
Well, holy shit. Aren't you a chip off the old block? You are as smart as your dad. Since you know all about this cause, no need to explain the effect. Let's get you on your way.
We ask him how he knew we were looking for our dad.
Oh, come on. You're a spitting image of the guy. He's been here before, and now you're here. Doesn't take a genius to figure it out. You want to find your dad, and it just so happens his location is known to yours truly. But if you want to know more, you're going to have to contribute to the good fight.
We ask him for more information.
You want to find your dad. And it just so happens his location is known to yours truly. He was here at Galaxy News. We had a great conversation. He's a real stand-up guy. If you want to know more, you're going to have to contribute to the good fight.
We try our luck to shortcut this conversation.
I like what you're saying, but this is bigger than just you and your dad. If you want help from Galaxy News, you need to contribute to Galaxy News. That's all there is to it.
We agree to help 3 Dog.
Good. Because this isn't going to be easy. Galaxy News Radio is my baby. I love it. I feed it. I keep it changed. But there's one problem. No one outside of D.C. can hear her cry. You see, some brainless super mutant thought it would be funny to shoot at the shiny round thing on the Washington Monument.
We say we don't like the sound of this.
Oh, it gets worse. So, after it gets blown up, I look into how to replace the sucker. Guess what? The factory that made the relay dishes is long gone, leveled, as in we'll never find that part again.
We tell him this sounds risky, but we'll try anything.
It is risky. I would never lie to you. But there's something behind those eyes of yours that screams, I'm the one that can get shit done. Your dad had that same look in his eyes too. That's why 3 Dog's helping you.
We ask what we need to do.
One of the Brotherhood guys that passed through here mentioned seeing a dish in one of DC's old museums. It's the dish off the old Virgo 2 lunar lander in the Museum of Technology. I want you to get it and bring it to the Washington Monument to replace the bad one. That's it.
We tell him he's got himself a deal.
I sure know how to pick 'em. You're gonna be the best thing that ever happened to Galaxy News in a long time. If you need any more info, I'll be here waiting for you.
And with that, we're one step closer to finding our dad in the Wastelands. 3 Dog never mentioned exactly what to expect in the old museum. However, we know it's going to be trouble. It's best we stock up on our gear now. We're still in the GNR building and want to ask Three Dog some follow-up questions about the mission he gave us.
What else can Three Dog do for you?
We ask him where's the Washington Monument.
Well, it's only the tallest thing left in the city. When you step out of the museum, take a good look across the mall. You can't miss it. Just be careful. There may still be a security barrier around it.
We ask him about the best way to the museum.
Head out the back door of GNR and take the collapsed car tunnel to the other side of DuPont. Then take the metro tunnels until you're there. Hey, be careful though. You'll have to find another way back, cause it's a one-way trip.
We ask him if he knows anything helpful about the Museum of Technology.
Ha! Man's monument to his own demise. All the garbage they displayed in there is the reason half the world was blown to shit. That shithole is located just off the mall. You know, that huge space in the center of the city in front of the Capitol. Be careful. The whole place is swarming with super mutants.
Finally, we ask him to tell us about this relay.
Well, if you check out your radio, you can hear pretty good in this place. Get a few blocks away, still not too bad. Maybe a little static. Step outside the city limits, and it's Snake City. Nothing but hiss. With the relay back on, you'll hear GNR clearly in the whole Capital Wasteland area like it used to be.
We tell him that we're gonna get going.
Right on, right on. Keep your radio tuned to GNR for the real gospel.
It's now time to head for the Museum of Technology. As Three Dog mentioned, the best way to get there is through a series of metro stations that run beneath the surface. We leave through the back door of GNR and emerge back out into the wasteland. We're immediately thrown back into the fire as a group of feral ghouls is alerted to our presence. We shoot down the first one pretty quickly using VATS and a well-placed headshot. Two more come running out of the rubble. We use VATS and get another headshot off on one of them using the hunting rifle, killing it instantly. The third is a roamer, meaning it has more health than the standard feral ghoul. We're low on action points, so we can't use VATS right away. We hit fire and miss all of our shots. Eventually, our action points regenerate and we place a few bullets into its head. From here, we secure the kill. We see that our marker is pointing us into the collapsed car tunnel, so we make our way inside. Down here, we come across more ghouls pretty much right away. We shoot down one and decide not to instigate a fight with the other. We move along and go through a door that brings us into the DuPont Circle Station. Here, we enter into a room that contains a security terminal. Successfully hacking into it, we're able to activate the Metro Protectron. The robot leads the way for us and initiates a fight with two super mutants present in the next room. We help shoot down one and the other we take down using VATS. During the commotion, we ended up attacking the Protectron somehow, so we had to shoot it down as well. We make our way further into the subway system and happen across a raider this time. A firefight breaks out and using VATS, we get one good shot off, causing the raider to flee the scene. We follow and come across a separate raider, meaning there are definitely more to come. We one-shot her in the head and loot her small outpost, finding medical supplies as well as some more ammo for our hunting rifle. We also find some drugs that can be sold for a nice price. Once we're done looting, we descend further into the tunnels and get caught up in a well-guarded area. There are turrets firing at us through some windows, as well as a group of raiders making their way up to our location. We fall back to the high ground of some stairs and begin firing away. Our first shot kills the raider instantly, meaning they were likely the wounded foe from before who fled. We two-tap the next raider, getting a well-placed headshot. The third raider we meet at the bottom of the stairs. We enter into VATS and miss our first shot, but get a clean second shot in the head, killing her instantly. We loot their bodies and find unique weapons which we haven't seen before, like Chinese pistols that take 10mm rounds. We're ready to progress further but get held down by the turrets. There's a terminal we can hack which might help us, but it requires a science skill of 50, which we don't have. Our best strategy was to stick our heads out for a few seconds and fire at them using the hunting rifle. It took about 3 landed shots to destroy the first Mark I turret, and about the same for the second as well. Once they were destroyed, we were free to move along towards our destination. We saw a raider at the bottom of the platform glitching out, so we fired one shot to put them out of their misery. Leveling up, we assigned our skill points accordingly, putting a little bit into energy weapons, as we now have a laser pistol in our inventory, and putting the rest into our big 3. As for our perks, We selected Educated as that gives us 3 more skill points every time we level up, and as suggested, it's best taken early on. Moving along, we come into a tunnel that's full of dead ghouls. Curious, we look around and see that there are actually frag mines on the ground. These are extremely deadly if left unchecked, but fortunately, they're easy to disarm and even easier to add into our inventory. We slowly approached each mine and interacted with them before they could explode. The mines begin beeping frantically, and that's how we know that the timer has started before we get blown to bits. We make our way into Metro Central and face off against more raiders. We hear some commotion on the other side, presumably the bandits facing off against ghouls, when, all of a sudden, the door opens and we're met with a firing squad. We get a few shots off, but both of them are using fully automatic weapons, which is rapidly depleting our health. Just in time, a feral ghoul shows up and distracts one of the raiders as we shoot and kill the other. We heal ourselves with a few stim packs and Nuka-Colas and then shoot down the feral ghoul. Finally, we go into vats and blow off the second raider's head. We do some more looting around this room, taking the weapons and ammo of our fallen foes, as well as cracking into ammunition crates, and then we move along into another section of the subway tunnels. Immediately, we face off against 2 ghouls. The first one goes down quickly, and the second one does a completely badass maneuver of knocking a barrel into the air, blocking our headshot attempt, and then lunging in for the attack. However, shortly after, we end up shooting it down and moving along. We end up in an open area and defeat 2 more ghouls rather quickly. A little further along into the tunnels and we come across a pack of vicious dogs. They don't hit super hard nor do they have a lot of health, but given their speed and numbers, they do take a little bit of time and bullets to kill. Our shots attract more ghouls from the depths of the tunnels, and using a combination of VATS and point-blank shooting, we kill them off as well. At this point, we've used our last .32 bullets and switch over to the 10mm pistol. We move along some more and go through a door that leads us to the museum station. Here, we face off against a roamer, which takes quite a few shots to take down, but does die before it can hit us. We activate a set of doors that leads us to the next room. Here, a raider slowly makes her way down the steps, but we get the jump on her and rapid fire with our pistol. Making our way back out into a set of tunnels, we make a grave error by aggroing 2 raiders. Both of them have fully automatic weapons, and to make matters worse, we accidentally press the caps lock button instead of tab in an attempt to quickly heal ourselves. This resulted in our character dying. So reloading and getting to the same point, we approach slowly and stick our heads out. This time, we get the jump on one of the raiders and fire at him with an assault rifle. We make our way to the next raider, go into VATS, and blow their head off. A third raider runs from around the corner, and we use the last of our 5.56mm ammo on them. Fortunately, we loot them as well as their temporary setup, and find some ammunition for us to reload with. We do once again switch back to the 10mm in order to save our heavier weapons for riskier situations. We make our way out of the tunnels and ascend to a platform which ultimately leads us back out into the Wasteland. We stick our heads out for a second and instantly get aggroed by a super mutant. We see that the Brotherhood definitely wasn't lying and that DC is crawling with them. The mutant chucks a grenade into our area, causing us to flee from our cover. We stare them down and unload an entire magazine of bullets into its head, killing it. Just as we thought we were scot-free, a vast amount of bullets are fired at us. We manage to run and take cover behind a small corner up against a building, which, conveniently, is the one we need to go inside of. We're held down by a minigun which is being fired by a super mutant brute, which is worse because they take more shots to kill. We switch over to the hunting rifle and get a few headshots in. However, this really doesn't do too much. We stay resilient and continue to fire off bullets aimed at its head, all the meanwhile tanking whatever damage comes from the minigun. Eventually, we kill it, loot the minigun, and enter inside of the Museum of Technology. Right away, we're noticed by another super mutant. All of our commotion from shooting back and forth brings a second one to join in on the fight. We run out of ammo for our hunting rifle and switch over to the assault rifle. We survive the encounter and kill both mutants, but run out of ammo for a few of our guns. Lucky for us, most of the super mutants use hunting rifles themselves, so for this mission, we'll be consistently cycling through .32 rounds. We make our way upstairs and end up on a tour for a demo vault. We see blood and debris lining the walls and floors. All the meanwhile, the lights and voiceover are overwhelming to our eyes and ears. We make sure to look over our shoulder as well as peek around the corners as we're unsure of when we'll come across the next super mutant. Soon, we make it out of the tour and find ourselves standing atop an overlook. Behind us is a door to the west wing of the building, which we go through. We end up in a big room separated by destruction and debris. On the other side of some rubble is the dish that 3Dog needs for his radio station. However, there's no direct route to get there, so we have to pick either the pathway downstairs or up here. We choose up here and come across multiple super mutants stationed on the stairs. They light us up, forcing us to fall back into the hallway. The first one comes out and, with the help of VATS, we kill it pretty quickly. The second one emerges from behind the wall and we're engaged in a firefight. We shoot it down just in time for the third mutant to round the corner. We run out of ammunition, again, for our hunting rifle, and rapidly switch over to the 10mm. With just a few shots, we're able to kill it. We loot our fallen foes and pick up some .32 caliber bullets, allowing us to switch back to the hunting rifle. We make our way down the stairs and cautiously through some hallways. Eventually, we end up in a room facing the dish that we need to pick up. Guarding it is two more super mutants, one of them being a brute. Thinking quickly, we take out the minigun and lay into the brute. We get it down to about a quarter of its health, and then switch over to the hunting rifle to finish it off. We go into VATS and the first headshot does the trick. As its corpse drops to the floor, the second super mutant is there to take its place. We go into VATS to fire off two more shots, but that only gets its health down by about half. The super mutant tries to pick up its fallen comrade's assault rifle, but we fire a few rounds in its face. Before it can start shooting at us, we seal the deal and kill the mutant. We approach the lunar lander and activate the Virgo 2 communications dish. We take it and add it into our inventory. It's now time to leave the Museum of Technology. We can either leave the way we came, which is lengthy, but we know there are no more enemies, or we attempt to use a shortcut and go through the planetarium. We choose the latter, which happens to be a mistake as the exhibit activates and draws in two more super mutants. We quickly dispose of them and then leave through the way we came in, going back into the first zone, jumping off of the upper landing and exiting back out into the Wasteland. Our next stop is the Washington Monument. It's relatively close to the Museum of Technology. We took precautions and stayed tight to the buildings in case there were any more super mutants in our path. We saw a whole bunch patrolling the central area of this DC block, but we were far away enough to where they didn't notice us. Approaching the monument, we had a quick sigh of relief to see that the Brotherhood of Steel were the ones to occupy it. We approached the security terminal on the wall and opened the reinforced doors in order to gain entrance inside of the tower. From here, we called an elevator and took it all the way up to the top floor. Arriving, we looted everything that we could and then interacted with the Galaxy News radio relay. It gave us the option to install the Virgo dish and then activate it, which we did. We got a quest update and saw the installation of the dish, which meant we were free to now go back to 3Dog and inquire further about our dad. We opened our map, fast traveled back to the GNR building, and spoke with the DJ.
Hey, all right! The hero of the Wasteland returns.
We tell him we were glad to help with the good fight.
Hey, you're the one that deserves all the thanks. You struck a major blow against tyranny. Now, GNR can be heard clear across the capital Wasteland again. That'll give Eden and those muties something to think about. But before I get back to my calling, I bet you want to hear about your dad.
We ask him where he went off to.
When your dad passed through here, he and I talked for a good long time. He's a real stand-up kind of guy. He mentioned some scientific mumbo-jumbo, which didn't make sense to me, and mentioned something called Project Purity. He also said something about going to visit a Dr. Lee in Rivet City. Then he left in a hurry.
We ask where Rivet City is.
You've never heard of Rivet City? Wow. Just wow. Well, a whole bunch of people got together and turned a beached aircraft carrier into a town. Pretty cool, huh? Just follow the river south from here. There's no way you can miss it.
We ask him how things are now that the power's back on.
I can't even tell you the love I'm getting from the Wasteland. Ever since GNR started singing again, the guys downstairs told me that more people than ever are tuning in. It's all I ever wanted.
Before we go, we asked Three Dog what his story is.
Three Dog's seen it all. The capital wasteland at its ugliest. People killed for scraps of food, wounded children wandering aimlessly. Some seriously fucked up shit. If it wasn't for the good fight, I think I would have gone crazy by now.
We criticize him by asking him what he knows about fighting.
You've got to understand, if I die, so does the voice of the people. I can't take that risk. Your idea of saving the world means combing through the rubble and using a gun. I use my voice. We're two sides of the same coin. If you think always being a target of your enemies is safe, then you got a funny way of looking at things.
We asked Three Dog about his parents.
Parents? Ha! I was born from the sun and have sand in my veins. Ha ha! Just messing with you. My parents were very cool. They preached all about the haters and their bullshit, how to tell the propaganda from the real deal.
We asked him why bother with GNR.
Why candy coat the news when the world is in danger? People like the Enclave would have you believe everything is calm and totally under control. They're lying. Hell, President Eden goes around spreading peace, love, and government, but no one even knows how old that Enclave signal really is. People need to hear the truth. It's a harsh world. We've got to work together to make it better, not wait for Uncle Sam to ride in and save the day.
We exit the conversation.
Anytime you need a place to crash, duck in here. Be glad to provide.
Exiting the conversation, we leveled up and assigned a total of 22 skill points thanks to the Educated perk. We then picked the perk of Intense Training in order to add an extra skill point to Agility, as our aim with small guns isn't so great at the moment. After speaking with Three Dog, we hear we need to head to Rivet City, which is in the southeast corner of our map. We leave the GNR building and decide to see if we can take a shortcut by traveling around the Museum of Technology and all of the buildings that line the shoreline. We had to make our way through an absolute war zone as raiders and super mutants were engaged in a deadly firefight. Bombs were exploding and shots were landing all over the place. We made it to a safe zone, but unfortunately there was no pathway over the rubble or through the buildings that we could find here, so we decided to just travel to Farragut Station and follow the river as suggested by Three Dog. We hugged the roads lining the riverbank and followed them south. Pretty quickly into our trek, we ran into some hired mercenaries.
Well now, if it isn't the little saint from the vault. We've been looking for you. Someone's put quite a price on your head. What? You think you can walk around the wasteland doing the things that you do, and there isn't going to be someone who takes notice? Such a shame. I hear that you could have been something useful. Ah well, time to die.
We ask if this is something we can talk about.
Ha ha! No, I don't think so.
The three Talon Company mercs chased us to the bottom of the steps. We hid behind a tree and tried to keep out of their line of fire until we were able to run up the stairs of the Anchorage Memorial and take advantage of the high ground. Across the inlet, a couple of grotesque creatures called centaurs were hurling some form of bodily fluid at the mercenaries, which distracted their attention from us. We fired off a few shots, but it was just too tricky and time-consuming to single out each individual member. So, we pulled out a frag grenade and lobbed it at the merc to the far left. In a flash, it exploded and set off a chain reaction from some vehicles around it, sending them into blazes of glory as well, killing off all of the Talon Company goons instantly. We looted what was left of their bodies and then continued on our journey. We soon ran into an encampment of raiders. They weren't too difficult to fight off as we had some ammo for our hunting rifle and they came at us one at a time, allowing us ample time to deal with each individual raider. Looting them and their settlement, we moved on to find a scavenger underneath a bridge.
Hey there. A few odds and ends?
She was friendly, and we were able to dump some of our items off on her, as well as pick up some more ammo for our weapons. Sometime after that, we faced off against some centaurs up close. They're disgusting mutated creatures who were likely once humans. They have several hands and arms for legs and feet, and their body is built more like an insect's. Their faces are deformed and they have tentacle-like tongues swinging from around their mouth. We kill the first one and approach the second. It's here we get caught up in a trap as there are a few super mutants posted on the inside of a destroyed building. They shoot at us with a minigun and a hunting rifle, pinning us down where we are. Our 10mm pistol doesn't do that much damage to the brute, nor does it really have the accuracy. As well, we don't have the ammo to spare on our bigger guns, so we devise a plan of waiting for the centaur to approach us. We kill it and then wait for a break in the minigun's fire to run across the opening to the other side. We take some hits while doing so, but we made it through safely. I don't like backing away from a fight in this game, but in this instance, it didn't seem like it was worth it to fire back. Once we were through that area, we made our way further along the road and ended up outside of the Jefferson Memorial. There were quite a few super mutants here too. Some of them were wielding hunting rifles, while others were swinging away at us with nail boards. We decided to save our hunting rifle ammo and shoot at them with the 10mm pistol. It took longer to kill them, but it felt good knowing we were preserving our ammo for our better guns. Eventually, we leave the site of the Jefferson Memorial and see a massive battleship in the distance, aka Rivet City. We approach and put our weapon away as we know we're likely safe here. We ascend some stairs and speak with the intercom.
Welcome to Rivet City. Please wait while the bridge extends.
Making our way across, we're interrogated by the head of security, a man named Harkness.
Hold it right there. State your business in Rivet City.
We tell him we're looking for Dr. Lee.
Yeah? Let me guess. No, she's not expecting you. But it's really important, and you need to see her right away. Been a lot of that going around lately, and I've had just about enough of it. So you're going to have to do better than that.
We try to outsmart him, so we say we're here to ask her about hydroponics.
What? I don't know much about her work. You'll have to ask her about that, I guess. She's probably in the science lab. Just keep out of trouble on my boat.
We tell him thanks for the help.
Carry on then.
With that out of the way, we can officially make our way into Rivet City, speak with Dr. Lee, and hopefully find our father. We see that our quest marker leads us into a stairwell on the beached aircraft carrier. Inside, we see that there are signs pointing us towards the science lab. Wandering through the halls of Rivet City, it resembles what we know of Vault 101 just a little bit, as the metal corridors are extremely tight and narrow. It's very easy to get lost and confused in here as there's a bunch of different pathways to go down. However, we eventually find the science lab. Entering through the door, we're met with a dark and musty laboratory. There's pipes flowing everywhere, and the place is a complete mess. Descending down some stairs, we see that one of the scientists is currently in an argument. We're not sure who the two men are, but we quietly listen in.
Dr. Lee is trying to save lives, and your constant interruptions are interfering with those efforts. Now please, stand aside.
I'm sure the good doctor's work with water purification is fascinating, but if you only knew what was at stake. The technology in that android...
What's at stake? You won't tell me what's at stake. Vagaries and secrecy, a robot's...
We definitely weren't able to follow along too well with that conversation, but we did hear that Dr. Lee is working on some project for purifying water. We wonder if this is similar to the Project Purification that Three Dog mentioned. Before we speak with Dr. Lee, we actually find a bobblehead in the science lab. Picking it up, it boosts our intelligence permanently by +1. We now speak with Dr. Lee.
Look, this is a restricted area. I'm tired of telling you people. It's you. My heavens, you look so much like him. You're James's son, aren't you? What are you doing here?
We ask how she knows who we are.
You were too young to remember, and I suppose James never spoke of me. Typical. I'm Dr. Madison Lee. I worked with your parents many years ago. Now I run the science lab here in Rivet City. It was all I had left. When your mother died, your father decided to leave with you. He abandoned our work. We had no choice but to do the same.
We ask if she's seen our father.
You mean you haven't? I assumed he sent you here. For that matter, aren't you supposed to be in a vault? James said he left you there.
We say we left looking for him.
Did you? I was under the impression that's exactly the opposite of what he wanted for you. Well, you won't find him here. He's come and gone already.
We ask if she could tell us where he went.
Your father insisted that we return to work on Project Purity. I tried telling him too much time has passed. There's no way it would work. Predictably, he refused to listen to me. He says he can prove it will work and headed off to the old lab. I'm sorry, I don't know what else to tell you.
We ask where the lab is.
It's in the old Jefferson Memorial Building, northwest of here. Please, don't go after him. It was foolish of him to even think about going there alone.
Before we leave this conversation, we decide to ask a few questions. We start with asking about the project they were working on.
Project Purity, we called it. What do you want to know?
We ask what the point of it was.
It was simple, really. Fresh, clean water for everyone. Such a simple idea, and yet so impossible to realize. The plan was to build a facility that could purify all the water in the tidal basin at once. No radiation, no muck, just clear water. It just turned out to be more difficult than we anticipated.
We switch up the conversation and ask her to tell us about our parents.
I suppose so. I worked with them for several years until your mother died, and your father decided it was time to leave. What else do you want to know?
We ask specifically about our mother.
Yes. Your mother was... well, she was a good woman. A very dedicated scientist. Your father loved her very much. It was a shame that she died. She had been excited to meet you.
Finally, before we go, we ask to see if there's anything she can do to help us.
Look, I don't want to be harsh, but I have problems of my own. I don't have the resources to support James's foolish endeavors, or your chasing after him. I'm sorry.
We try our luck and insist.
I'm sorry, I am not in a position to help you. Good luck finding your father. You know...
The conversation ends, and with that, we can leave Rivet City and head back towards the Jefferson Memorial. Before doing so, though, we decide to go into the marketplace. There really isn't anything spectacular to look at down here. There's a bunch of makeshift shops set up. The main one we want to go to, though, is the armory. We find the tent with the weapons out on the table. They're exposed and anybody can take them, but it's pretty obvious that if we do, we'll be shot on sight. Speaking with one of the owners, Flack, and looking at his inventory, we see that he's got some pretty good selection. There's a whole bunch of ammunition and even some weapons we haven't seen before. Successfully coming to a deal with him, we leave with all our new stuff and quickly go back inside of Rivet City to find a bed to sleep in. One of the big differences between Fallout and Oblivion is that the waiting feature does not regenerate our health. Officially leaving the city, we pop open the map and fast travel back to the Jefferson Memorial. On our way to Rivet City, we actually crossed through this area, so we had the luxury of taking care of all the enemies first, leaving it pretty barren outside. Our quest marker has us going in through the gift shop doors. Upon entering inside, we're instantly met with a super mutant. We aim down our sights and fire off 2 successful shots. It charges at us with a nail board, so we know we have the advantage. We then get into VATS and fire off 2 more shots at its head. We hit fire 3 more shots, missing 2 of them, and finally the super mutant goes down. We wander a little further down the hallways of the Jefferson Memorial and hang a right. Here we see 2 enemy markers on our compass. Interestingly though, it appears as that they're fighting each other. We get in a little closer and hear the screams of a super mutant. The other enemy on our radar appears to be a Mark I turret. We take a shot at it and lower its durability. The turret doesn't turn to face us, so we take advantage and continue to shoot at it. Eventually, the super mutant is the one to deliver the killing shot, and that allows us to peer around the corner and blow off its head. We go into the room where the super mutant died and loot its body, finding a hunting rifle as well as some ammo. Behind the corpse is some ammunition boxes. We loot those and find some rounds for our 10mm pistol as well as our assault rifles. Exiting the room, we see that all of the commotion drew in another super mutant. He is yet to see us though, so we go into VATS and get off a critical headshot. Shortly thereafter, we aim down the sights and place one in between his eyes. During the fight, we notice a first aid box, so we loot that, and then we go and take everything from the super mutant's inventory. One thing I have to comment about this game is that the combat is so satisfying. It's nice to be rewarded for those nicely placed shots, with either the enemy staggering back or an animation of some sorts, as well as the way the NPC's bodies react when they're killed. In this instance, we fire a point-blank shot into the super mutant's chest, killing it as he gets flung backwards and his nail board goes flying. Our compass leads us into the Jefferson Memorial Rotunda. Entering inside, we see that there's actually a body of water sitting in the middle of the room, and there happens to be some rafters built just above it. Present, there are 2 super mutants. One of them we can handle just fine as it's firing a hunting rifle from a pretty far distance. The other, however, happens to be a brute and runs in up close, firing at us with a fully automatic weapon. We decide to try out our new Chinese assault rifle. We unload our clips into the super mutant brute, but his health isn't going down by that much. Eventually we do kill him, but we need to heal ourselves. We drink 2 Nuka-Colas and use a few stim packs. Since we're in close quarters, we now decide to switch over to our other new weapon, the combat shotgun. This gun was insanely powerful, and in 3 shots we completely obliterated the last super mutant. We walk around the rotunda to see if there's anything here. We don't see anything out of the ordinary, so we go up into the rafters. Up here, our compass leads us to 3 holotapes. They're all regarding Project Purity, and upon picking them up, we get a quest update that we should listen to journal entry number 10. We open up our Pip-Boy and give it a listen.
I'm off to Vault 112 to search for anything of bronze that might help me get this purifier up and running. All I know is that it's west of some place called Evergreen Mills, and it's well hidden in some sort of garage. But I'll find it. I have to. It's so close. That's the story of Project Purity, isn't it? An eternity of almost theirs. Let's see if Braun is the missing puzzle piece.
Before moving on, we decide to listen to the next 2 entries, starting with number 8.
To be honest, the G.E.C.K sounded like pure fantasy, even for someone of Braun's capabilities. It was nothing short of a miracle. A terraforming module capable of producing life from complete lifelessness. But not only was this thing a reality, it was actually distributed to several vaults to be used after an atomic war. Vault 101 was, sadly, not on that list. I did some digging and discovered Braun's name on the reservation list for a Vault 112. I'm no slouch, but this man, he could have easily succeeded where I failed. Does his collected knowledge remain within the halls of Vault 112? Journals, holotapes, computer records, maybe even experiments. If I could gain access to just a fraction of Braun's genius, Project Purity would become a reality.
We move on to number 5.
Even in Vault 101, my work on Project Purity never really stopped. Soon after we arrived, my nightly routine included sneaking into the restricted areas, searching for, I don't know, whatever I could find. It was a Vault-Tec facility, after all. The place was built with some of the most advanced technology this country had ever developed. Those excursions never turned up anything particularly useful. So, one night, after half a bottle of scotch, I broke into the overseer's office. It was easy enough to hack his console, gain access to the restricted files. Most of it was garbage. Propaganda, spy reports, just plain rambling bullshit, really. But there was one thing, one name that stood out amongst all the others. Dr. Stanislaus Braun. I knew of Braun's work, of course. He was a celebrity in his day, Vault-Tec's sorcerous scientist, leaving his peers in awe of his technological wizardry. But it was in Vault 101 that night in the Overseer's office I first learned of Braun's involvement in Vault-Tec's social preservation program and his work on something called G.E.C.K, the Garden of Eden creation kit.
According to these holotapes, we not only know where our dad went, but also why and for whom. It turns out he never stopped researching Project Purity. Even in Vault 101, he would sneak into the Overseer's office and look through secure documents. It was here he found mention of G.E.C.K, the Garden of Eden creation kit. This kit was developed by someone known by Dr. Braun. Our dad figured that Dr. Braun could help with Project Purification. So he sought him out, and it turns out a great place to look would be Vault 112, and now we know exactly where that is. Exiting the Jefferson Memorial and taking a look at the world map, we see that our desired destination is actually pretty far to the west. We decide to fast travel to Vault 101 and walk over from there. Pretty quickly into our adventure, we come across a vicious dog. However, all it takes is one shot in VATS with the hunting rifle and it's down. The music starts to pump up and we take a look over our shoulder. Coming in quick, we see a creature that we haven't quite seen before. Its nameplate deems it a rad scorpion. It's a gigantic version of a scorpion, and it actually has quite a lot of health. It takes some point-blank shots with the hunting rifle. We decide to switch over to the sawed-off shotgun, assuming it would deal more damage, and it did a little bit, but it still took quite a while to defeat the thing. In order to save on our ammunition, we switched over to the 10mm pistol. This weapon is decent when it comes to dealing with critters and smaller game out in the Wasteland. I also find it's a lot easier to find 10mm pistol ammo, whereas for our bigger and better guns, they're a little harder to come across. Shortly into our trip, we make a grave error. We see a robot in the distance and go into VATS. It turns out this is a Mr. Gutsy. Not really sure how challenging it is, we approach. Getting in close, it begins to fire off these green beams at us. When these beams hit, they lower our health quite drastically. In just a few shots, we were almost dead. We heal up with some stim packs and switch over to the combat shotgun. However, even this weapon wouldn't do the trick, as going into VATS, it showed that barely any of its HP would go down. And it was true. Mr. Gutsy takes out a flamethrower and lowers our newly regenerated health pretty quickly. At this point too, our combat shotgun completely breaks. We switch over to the sawed-off shotgun and have it on the ropes with 1 point left, but then we're forced to reload, and Mr. Gutsy fires the killing blow on us. We reload our save and this time completely steer around the robot. During this portion of our trek, all we really deal with are bloatflies, which are relatively easy to kill. As we go along further into our trek, we notice friendly markers on our radar. We approach them and see a wandering trader. The merchant, Doc Hoff, specializes in medicine. We completely run him dry of stim packs and then move along. Before we do though, we check out his repair services. Unfortunately though, we don't have the caps for it, as it would have been a great opportunity to repair our combat shotgun. Looking at the path ahead, we see we're faced with either cutting directly through a canyon or by wandering atop and around it. We look at our map, and from what we can make out, it appears that going up and around would be our best option. This route was definitely lengthier, but we knew it would be easier to scale down a cliff than to scale up one. Again, to compare Fallout 3 to Oblivion, there's definitely a lot less happening in the Wasteland. It feels like while we're wandering through Citadel, there's always enemies coming at us from every single angle. However, in the Wasteland, it's open and barren, and at least at our level, there's just a whole lot not going on, which I actually appreciate. It adds to the whole element in storytelling. We look at our compass and see that our quest marker is getting closer and closer. Eventually, we come across a place called Smith Casey's Garage. Remembering journal entry number 10 that our dad left behind, he mentioned that to access Vault 112 you had to go through a garage. Entering inside, we're immediately met with some rad roaches. A few shots with the 10mm pistol and they were dead. We walk on a little further and go into the next room. Here in the garage we face off against a few mole rats. Again, even with the 10mm pistol, they don't serve much of a challenge. We take note to loot this place as we go along, as after our interaction with the last wandering trader, we're actually pretty low on caps. We decide it best to stay away from items that have a weight of 1 and a value of 1. Space is tight in our inventory, so we're just trying to look for the best of the best. We pick the place clean, finding a lot of valuable miscellaneous items, as well as medicine and even guns and ammo. When we're all done, we go up to one of the walls of the garage and activate an electrical switch. This opens the door to a lower platform, and we descend down. Here we face off against a few mole rats, which again are no issue, and then we go through a door that leads us to Vault 112. Going through it and wandering around some hallways, we end up at the literal vault door. It looks the exact same as the one we left through in Vault 101. We step inside the vault and our guard's up. We're not quite sure what to expect. If our dad was able to easily make it down here, so could anybody or anything else. We walk a bit and end up at a closed door. We do have some relief, however, as we see a friendly marker pop up on our radar.
Welcome to Vault 112, resident. According to sensors, you have arrived 202.3 years behind schedule. Please redress in your Vault Tech issued vault suit before proceeding. If you have misplaced your suit, I am authorized to distribute a new one. Once dressed, please proceed down the stairs to the main floor so that you may enter your assigned Tranquility Lounger.
The robot, called RoboBrain, gave us a Vault 112 jumpsuit. We put it on as requested and make our way further in. Unsurprisingly, Vault 12 looks exactly the same as Vault 101, except for one small detail. We walk through a door leading to some rafters and see a sight that we haven't quite seen yet. There are a dozen pod-looking mechanisms surrounding what appears to be a central beacon. We make our way downstairs and open a door that leads to the central room. We get a closer look and see that they're called Tranquility Loungers, which is exactly what RoboBrain wants us to go inside of. Looking even closer, we see that most of them already have people in them. We take a look at the central beacon and see a bunch of computers. The computers indicate the names of those who are inside of the Tranquility Loungers. We don't see anything that indicates that our father's in one of them, but there are a few with the titles of unknown. Unfortunately for us, it seems like we're going to have to take the risk and enter inside of one. We're unsure what will happen to us, or if we'll even end up finding our father. Now, in order to find him, we enter inside of one of these Tranquility Loungers to see what awaits us. We activate one of the pods, hop on up, and sit in the lounger. The cover closes back over us, and a TV swings in front of our face. We see a picture of a suburban neighborhood, and a child's face flashes in front of it. All of a sudden, we're teleported into some fantasy land. We see everything through a monochromatic lens. The world is black and white with a warm overtone. Somewhat breaking the immersion, our character advances to level 6. Here we put our skill points into repair, medicine, and small guns. Then for our next perk, we decide to go with Gunslinger, which significantly increases our accuracy in VATS. We stand up from the park bench that we're sitting on and notice we're a small child. Before we have the chance at taking the rest of it in, we're approached by a stranger.
Hey there, sport. Beautiful day, isn't it? Say, you should go talk to Betty. She's waiting for you over on the playground. Have fun, sport.
It turns out there are other people here in this simulation as well. We recognize the name of George Newsbaum. He had his own entry dedicated to him in one of the computers. He told us to go and speak with someone by the name of Betty, but we want to talk with him a little bit more.
What can I do for you, sport?
We ask him where we are.
Such a kidder. You're on Tranquility Lane, of course. Where else would you be?
We ask him if this is some kind of computer simulation.
Sounds like you've been spending too much time with your nose in those darned comic books, sport.
We ask him if he's seen our dad.
Nope, afraid not. Don't you worry about it, though. You'll find him.
We ask him what he can tell us about the neighborhood.
You mean besides how wonderful it is to live here? Everyone's very friendly, even old Lady Dithers, though she's lost most of her marbles.
Then lastly, for fun, we comment on how nice of a day it is.
Another perfect Saturday afternoon. Make sure you enjoy it, sport. Of course it is. It's America, isn't it?
We tell him we have to go.
Take care now.
So, from what we gathered, we're in a place called Tranquility Lane, and the residents don't know that they're in a simulation. We approach a young boy, about our age, and see if he has any other insight on this matter.
Hi there, I'm Timmy. Wanna play?
We tell him that none of this is real.
What? You're weird.
We then ask him if he's seen our dad.
Your dad? Nope, I haven't. Did he get lost?
We then ask what he can tell us about the neighborhood.
It's okay, I guess. I don't really have nobody to play with, except for Betty. And she's kind of, well, she's mean.
We leave the conversation, and now it's pretty solidified that nobody here knows they're in a simulation. There are a few houses here on Tranquility Lane, each belonging to a different family or resident. All of them are relatively cookie cutter. The main floor has a living room, a bathroom, and a kitchen, while the upstairs has 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. And almost none of the houses have basements. We decide to speak with a few other residents. We ask them all of the same questions we asked the news bombs, starting with, have they seen our dad?
No, sweetie, I haven't. I'm sure he'll come looking for you before long, though.
Can't say that I have, kiddo. Don't worry. I'm sure he'll turn up.
Your dad? No, I haven't. I'm sure he's around here somewhere.
We then try to tell everybody that they're in a simulation.
What? Oh, sweetie. Maybe you should just run along and play.
Is that so? Well, you ought to tell that to my big toe, kiddo. Hurts like the dickens since I stubbed it earlier today. Feels pretty real to me.
Oh, you're such a kidder.
Lastly, we ask if there's anything they can tell us about the neighborhood.
Well, George and I have been here. Why, as long as I can remember.
Nice place. Real nice. Everyone's friendly and always happy to lend a hand.
Roger suggested we move here. I don't quite remember when that was. It's very nice. We're doing quite well.
Nobody can really give us the answers we're looking for, but it is nice that everybody's also fairly friendly. As a side note, while in the Newsbomb's house, on their kitchen table we found a military school brochure. Interacting with it, we're able to read it and add it into our inventory. We're not sure if this will help us down the line, but we have a suspicion it might. There are plenty more residents here in Tranquility Lane. We spoke to pretty much all of them, barring Betty and Old Lady Dithers. Again, as demonstrated, they all have pretty much the same outlook on this place and their current situation. So naturally, the next person we decided to speak to was Old Lady Dithers. According to George Newsbomb, she's a bit of a kook.
You don't belong here. You're not supposed to be here. It's not real, none of it. It needs to end. The suffering must end.
We tell her that finally somebody else sees what's going on here and ask how we get out.
We're not really here. We're not really talking. It's all made up. Make believe. We're sleeping, dreaming. The dream became a nightmare. It has to end. It just has to. But we're not in charge. He is. And he doesn't want us to wake up.
We ask who she's talking about.
He calls himself Betty now, but he's still the same. He can put on a new face all he likes, but underneath he's still evil. Braun. Bastard thinks because he helped create this place, he's God here. But I know he still uses the fail-safe terminal. I know it.
We ask what the fail-safe terminal is.
It's in the abandoned house. He doesn't want us going in there because he's afraid we might find it. It's the only terminal to the outside. The only way to shut the whole thing down. You've got to find it.
Well, it seems as though there's at least one person here who knows what's going on. So far, almost everybody has outright said that Betty isn't the best person. And now, Old Lady Dithers outright says she's evil. She mentioned that the only way to shut down this simulation is by finding a fail-safe terminal in the abandoned house. Before we go looking for that, or before we go speaking to Betty, we test out what the combat is like in this world. We decide to wail on Old Lady Dithers. Our punches actually do a fair bit of damage. It only takes a few of them to completely get her health down. We definitely have the ability to kill people here, as after we beat down Old Lady Dithers, there's no message saying that she's unconscious. In case we need her for something in the future, we reload our save and continue on from there. Now, the last person we need to speak to here is Betty. We go to the central area where there's a playground. Our quest marker points us over to a little girl. Near the little girl is actually a dog named Doc. We interact with the dog but can't do much. Now it's time to go over to Betty.
Oh, someone new to play with. What good luck I have lately. I was just starting to get bored. Oh, we're going to have so much fun.
We ask her who she is.
I'm Betty. I live here on Tranquility Lane. Want to play a game?
We ask her what's going on here.
We're going to play a game now, silly. That's what's going on.
We ask her if she's seen our father.
Gee, I don't know. What's he like?
We tell him he's an older guy in his 50s.
And he's new here too, isn't he? Oh boy, he's your daddy, huh? I had no idea. That makes this even more fun. Let's play.
We tell her we don't want to play any games.
You don't get to say no. If I want to play a game, you're going to play. And I want to.
We tell her fine, we'll play along.
I knew you would. It's a really simple game. All you have to do is make Timmy Newsbum cry.
We ask her what kind of game this is.
It'll be funny. Come on, you'll see. Make him cry, and then come back here, and we'll talk some more.
The conversation ends, and we reluctantly go on our way. Timmy Newsbomb is the only other kid in this community besides us and Betty. We go over to the Newsbomb residence and find Timmy outside. We speak with him.
Hi, wanna play?
We try our luck and tell him his parents are getting a divorce.
You're a big dumb liar.
We then tell him he's getting sent to military school.
What? No, I'm not.
We show him the brochure we picked up earlier.
But I don't want to go away. I don't want to leave my mommy.
And with that, Timmy Newsbomb runs back inside his house and begins to cry. For fun, we rub salt in the womb and begin punching him. I'm fairly certain violence would have worked as well in terms of making him cry from the get-go, but the brochure was definitely more of an interesting way to go. Once that's taken care of, we return back to Betty and tell her we completed her little game.
Yay, you did it! Good job!
A clever approach. I'm not sure I would have considered it. Very encouraging. Your reward for winning the game is to ask a single question. I will answer honestly and frankly.
We ask whoever this is where our father is.
Ah, yes. A predictable question, I suppose. Your father is here, in Tranquility Lane. He is quite safe for now, though he can no longer hound me with his incessant questioning.
Perhaps you will see more of him in time.
We ask what they've done to him.
Were I you, I'd be more concerned with myself at the moment.
And besides, we're done with questions for now. Perhaps we'll address it at a later time. First, I have something else for you to do.
We ask what else they want from us.
Pay a visit to the Rockwells. They're very happily married, and I'd like you to change that. Put an end to their marriage, and we'll talk.
We agree, but only because we want more answers.
Rationalize it any way you'd like. If you succeed, we'll continue our discussion.
From here, we run over to the Rockwell residence. Entering inside of their home, we speak with the wife, Janet Rockwell.
Well, hi there.
We tried to convince her that Mr. Rockwell is cheating on her.
What a horrible thing to say. Is that your idea of a joke?
Having failed, we ask about their marriage.
Our marriage? Oh, goodness. What kind of a question is that? Mabel didn't put you up to this, did she? What a silly thing to ask about.
We don't get any direct information, but we do get a clue that Mabel Henderson might know something. We quickly go to speak with Roger Rockwell.
Good day to you.
We ask if there's anything he wants to tell us about their marriage.
Now see here. That's not anything for you to be asking about. Our marriage is our business and it's private. Why can't people just understand that and just leave us alone?
Well, we don't get any revealing information out of him either, other than the fact that other people have pried into their marriage as well. We try our next best source, Mabel Henderson.
Well, hi there.
We ask about the Rockwell's marriage.
Well, they're just so nice, aren't they? It's good the two of them worked everything out.
We ask what she means by that.
Oh, well, I'm not one to talk, but there was that fight last year. Everyone could hear them arguing. Janet thought there was something going on with Roger and Martha Simpson. He eventually convinced her it wasn't true. But I've seen the way Martha looks at him. Janet may believe him, but I sure don't.
We tell her thanks for the tip.
Tip? Oh, I wouldn't call it that. Just something I heard is all.
Our next stop is to find this Martha Simpson. We go over to the Simpson residence, see her standing in her living room, and speak with her.
Good day to you.
We ask about the Rockwell's marriage.
Why are you asking me? I don't know anything. And why should I care about their marriage anyway?
We try insisting on the full story.
It's none of your business. Now leave me alone.
Unfortunately, this is where the escapade between Martha Simpson and Roger Rockwell ends. We don't get to hear about any of the juicy gossip or the details. But there is still one thing we can do. In Martha Simpson's bedroom, we find some lacy underwear on her bed. We pick it up and bring it over to the Rockwell house. Before I mention that almost none of the houses have a basement. The one exception is the Rockwell house. It looks and feels more like a cellar, as the ground is made of cobblestone and the walls are concrete. Down here, Roger Rockwell has a desk. By activating it, we can actually place the underwear atop of it. Now we can go back upstairs and tell Mrs. Rockwell about our latest discovery.
Good day to you.
We tell her there's something she needs to see in the basement.
What were you doing in our basement? What's down there?
We tell her that it's important.
Okay, if you say so.
She gets up and follows us down there. Upon seeing it, she has a pretty strong reaction.
What's this? Women's clothing? Down here?
We speak with her about it.
What? What the hell is this?
We question if it's hers or not.
What is this doing here?
We say that he's likely cheating on her.
My God! I knew it! I knew it!
Janet goes back upstairs, calls Roger some pretty nasty words, and runs away. At this point, neither of them want to talk about it, which is perfect for us as we've completed our little game. We go back to Betty and speak with her.
You have turned out to be quite resourceful, it seems. I am slightly impressed. I enjoy your company far more than your father's. He responded quite negatively to my requests.
We tell them that they have some explaining to do.
You have amused me thus far, but I still don't think you're quite in a position to be demanding anything. Still, I suppose you've earned the right to some further answers. What would you ask of me?
We ask what our father wanted from them.
Your father, frustrating as he was, recognized the significance of some of my previous work. He came to gather information on it. He was most pleased to be able to ask me directly, but he failed to understand how things work here. He was unwilling to compromise, to do anything I asked of him, and so our discussions ended.
We say we want to see him and ask where he is.
If you continue to behave and do as I ask, I may be willing to release both of you. But first, you have work to do.
We reluctantly accept.
Oh, come now, show some enthusiasm.
There are fewer rules this time. I'd like to see just what you're capable of.
I'd like you to kill Mabel Henderson. Please put some effort into it. Do something creative. Beating her to death won't impress me.
We agree to do it.
Of course you will. And you never know. You might enjoy it.
We leave the conversation and go over to the Simpson residence. Inside, our quest marker points us to Mabel Henderson herself, but who we really want to talk to is Martha Simpson.
Well, hi there.
We ask if there's anything she can tell us about Mabel.
Mabel's a good friend to me. She's always interested in what's going on with my life, which is more than I can say for some people. I'll sometimes go over to her house and chat while she's baking. She really loves to bake. Uses that oven all the time.
We leave the conversation and take note that Mabel loves baking. We go inside of the Henderson residence and go over to the oven. Interacting with it, we have the option of fiddling with the pilot light. This apparently will make it very dangerous to operate. Going ahead with it anyways, the notification switches up saying that gas is now filling the air. We run back over to Mabel and ask her if she can bake us anything.
Well, sure I can, sweetie. Let me just go light the oven to get it warming up.
We follow Mabel out of the living room and into the kitchen. She approaches the oven and bends over. Attempting to turn it on results in explosion. Mabel herself is directly hit with the impact. She dies instantly, her body is lit on fire, and even some of her limbs were sent flying. Successfully completing the game, we go back to Betty.
Appliances certainly can be dangerous, can't they?
You are most resourceful, and you certainly do get results. You have exceeded my expectations. And now, we come to the last tasks that I have for you. Succeed, and you shall be granted whatever you wish.
We ask how we know if they're being honest with us.
I think you'll find that I've been quite honest with you thus far. You have no discernible reason to mistrust me. In the doghouse, out behind the abandoned home, are a mask and knife. Don the mask and become the pint-sized slasher. Use the knife to eliminate all the residents of Tranquility Lane.
We ask who the pint-sized slasher is.
He is a figure of myth, born of old campfire stories. You will make him a reality. The residents will know you and they will fear you. When they have all been eliminated, return to me.
We ask why they're doing all this.
Because I can, of course.
I have total power here. I may do whatever I wish. And over these many years, I have found that I wish to see others suffer.
We ask why don't they just leave the vault?
Are you mad? I've been here for almost 200 years. My body is in no condition to be used for anything. And yet here in Tranquility Lane, I am as strong and youthful as I care to be. No, I think I'll stay here, thank you. And you will now do as you're told. The slasher awaits.
Now we set off to do our final task here in Tranquility Lane. We approach the abandoned home, make our way to the backyard, and interact with the doghouse. We're automatically equipped with a knife and a mask. The residents run away in fear of us. They see us coming and sprint off into the opposite direction. All it takes is one slash with the knife to kill them. Mabel Henderson was first, and we learned that by swinging away at their dead body, we can actually hack their limbs off. One by one, we would track down the residents of Tranquility Lane and cut them to pieces. The only one we couldn't find was Timmy Newsbomb, but it makes sense since he's a kid. After killing every single person in Tranquility Lane, we go back over to Betty.
Most enjoyable. Most enjoyable indeed. I haven't felt this exhilarated in years.
We ask her to let us out.
Yes. I suppose you've earned the right to do as you like.
I shall miss your company. This has been a simply wonderful time.
The door is now open. Through it you may return to the real world, and whatever inferior existence you have there.
A door back to reality has opened up, and we can now exit Tranquility Lane. Before we do, we speak to Betty one more time.
I've given you permission to leave. I suggest you take the opportunity before I change my mind. I'm even being so gracious as to allow your father to exit as well. His presence here failed to amuse me some time ago.
And with that, we can now leave the simulation and get back to the capital Wasteland. I consider that to be our character's canon. However, we're most interested in seeing this failsafe that old lady Dithers was talking about. Before we go on with that, if you're curious, this is what happens if we try to kill Betty.
You can't do that here. And now you have to pay.
Going back to the failsafe, we enter inside of the abandoned house and the whole aroma changes. It's extremely dark, we hear creepy and off-putting noises, and everything's a complete mess. We try to look around for the failsafe, but we can't find it. Going back to the living room, we see there's a few objects we can activate. All of them make a certain noise except for one. This would indicate that there's likely a pattern here, and if we get the code right, maybe we can make something happen. We activate the items in this order: radio, pitcher, gnome, pitcher, cinder block, gnome, and Nuka-Cola bottle. Once getting the combination right, a computer terminal materializes in the living room. We go up to it and access it. Here we have the ability to initiate a Chinese invasion protocol. Reading a little bit about this simulation, we see that Tranquility Lane is not Dr. Braun's first experiment. We see that there's been two others before it, one on an island and another up in the mountains. We also see that if we were to activate the Chinese invasion failsafe, every citizen killed would result in their deaths in the real world, with the only exception being Dr. Braun. We initiate the failsafe anyways, and free everybody from this simulation prison. By doing so, we actually gain karma. So I suppose it could be looked at that the failsafe is the good ending, and following Betty's commands is the bad ending. Leaving the abandoned house, we see a platoon of Chinese soldiers gunning down the citizens. However, they're not aggroed onto us. Again, similar to last time, Timmy Newsbomb is nowhere to be seen, and Betty and the dog Doc are the only survivors. We return back to Betty to see what she has to say about all of this.
Do you realize what you've done? You've triggered the failsafe, ruined everything. The subjects will die and I'll be stuck here in this hell alone.
You ruined everything! Everything!
We tell her that she's getting what she deserves.
You've taken them all from me. You've left me with nothing.
It's not fair. Nobody to play with ever again.
And with all of that, we're now free to leave Tranquility Lane yet again. However, the path we continue on with regards to our story is the one where we obeyed every one of Betty's commands. Continuing onwards, I took the door that exits Tranquility Lane. This put me back in the Tranquility Lounger, and upon hopping out of it, I was approached by a familiar face.
Son, you've saved me. I was afraid I'd be trapped in there forever. It's so good to see you, but what are you doing here?
I tell him that I came here to find him.
Well, I'm glad you did. This certainly wasn't how I expected things to turn out. I wasn't ready for Braun, or I might have fared better.
I tease him about not liking being a dog.
Well, I suppose it had its moments. But in the end, I much prefer having opposable thumbs. And now that I'm back, I can get back to work. I need to tell Madison what I've learned.
I ask him what he even ended up learning.
I was right about Braun. The technology he developed is unstable, even dangerous. but it can be adapted for Project Purity. I need to return to Rivet City and talk with Madison. If we can find a G.E.C.K, we can make Project Purity work.
I ask him if that means he's going to Rivet City now.
Yes. With what I've learned, Madison is sure to see that we can finally succeed where we failed so many years ago. I'd like you to come with me. I'd like you to be there when we finally open the floodgates.
I tell him we're headed to Rivet City together.
That's my boy. Let's hurry. Now that I know what we need, I want to get back to work as soon as possible.
Before leaving, I get clarification on how my mother actually died.
I understand that you have reason to question a good many things I've told you over the years. But your mother... I've never lied to you about what happened. Not once. She died giving birth to you. It was a difficult time. She was so eager to meet you, to make a place for you in the world. If nothing else, please believe that she loved you very much.
With that, I exit the conversation.
Be careful, my son.
Advancing to level 7, I assigned my different skill points. After doing so, I picked the Gun Nut perk, as it adds a +5 to both repair and small guns. I had only just gotten my father back, no less rescued him, and already he's running about resuming his death wish. Together, we leave Smith Casey's garage, and get aggroed onto by a couple of enemies. Well, actually, it's more so that my father went out of his way to pick some fights. Once we clear some raiders and mole rats, I attempted to catch up with him in order to speak, but he just outpaced me, so instead, I fast traveled back to Rivet City. Arriving, I waited a full 24 hours. This was just to make sure that my dad actually made it to the city safe. The quest marker confirms this, so I run back onto the ship. I make my way over to the science labs, and see that my dad has already made his reunions.
And with good news. I was right about Braun and the G.E.C.K. If we can find one, we can adapt it to work with the purifiers.
I don't know, James. So many years have passed. Is it really still worth trying?
How could it not be worth improving the lives of everyone in the Wasteland? What could be a more worthy endeavor?
From the last reports, there's no power at the facility. Even if one of those computers had a database, we couldn't access it.
That's why we're going to head over there right now and get things up and running as best we can.
Damn you, James. When this is all over, you owe me a drink. I'll get the team together.
Thank you, Madison. It's good to be working with you again.
Once they're done, I speak with my father.
We need to get back to Project Purity. The computer there is our best chance to locate a G.E.C.K.
I tell him that sounds dangerous.
Probably, but we have to try, don't we? It's too important for the people of the Wasteland to let fear stop us now. We need to get moving right away. Are you coming with us?
I tell him yes, and that we should get going.
That's my boy. It'll be good to work side by side with you, son.
Together, the three of us leave Rivet City. The two of them take their time walking to the Jefferson Memorial, so I just fast travel over. Nobody's arrived yet, so I wait another full 24 hours, and then upon exiting back outside, I see all of the scientists lined up.
We can't accomplish anything until we can get inside, but none of us are particularly capable fighters. I hate to ask you to put yourself in harm's way, but you seem to have learned to handle yourself. I need you to go in and make sure it's safe for Dr. Lee and her crew.
I agree to it and say that I'll be right back.
Be careful.
It's interesting because I thought I had already cleared out every single super mutant, but upon further inspection, I did end up finding a few. No less right on the main floor. I gunned them down with my hunting rifle and then continued to look around. There was a door leading to the memorial sub-basement, which I was pretty sure was where the rest of them would have been. I had never been down here before, and sure enough, the enemies had come to me. There were actually quite a few super mutants down here. Luckily though, only a select few of them were brutes. I didn't really have that much trouble clearing them out. Along the way, I ended up finding more journal entries for Project Purity. I took a listen to both entries 7 and 8.
I am at a loss. My beloved wife is gone. In her place is my son, small and helpless. As much as this place means to me, as much as it meant to Catherine, this is no place for an infant, especially an infant without his mother. It's time to go. The project was in trouble before, both internally and externally. Progress has come to a halt, both because our recalculations have gotten us nowhere, and because the mutant attacks occur several times a day. I regret that it has come to this. I know that if I leave, our work may come to an end. Madison has never been on the best of terms with the Brotherhood. Aside from Scribe Rothschild, he'll tolerate none of them. If she's the one dealing with them, who knows what will happen? It breaks my heart to go. But I must put the needs of my child before my own.
I continued along the lower levels, looting what I could. Along the way, I found even more journal entries for Project Purity. I listened to all of them, including the last one, which was left behind by my mother.
Well, here we are again. Project Purity and me. It's been close to 20 years since my last entry, as I left all of this behind to make a life for my son. We've spent that time in Vault 101, tucked away from the rest of the world. It wasn't perfect, but it was safe, and that's all I could have hoped for. Now my son is a grown man, handsome, intelligent, confident, just like his old man. And as hard as it was to admit it, he doesn't need his daddy anymore. So here I am, back where it all began. Project Purity. God, we wanted to change the world. We really thought the waters of life could be a reality. And that's why this is a momentous occasion. Because even after 19 years, I still believe it. Project Purity can and will be operational. This is just the beginning. This is day 2 of my attempt to resurrect this project. I've got one of the portable fusion generators up and running, but it's just enough to power the emergency lighting and a couple of other systems. That will serve for now, but I'll need help powering up the mainframe. Time to visit Madison at Rivet City. I spoke with Dr. Lee, Madison, at Rivet City. It went about as well as I expected. That is to say, she thinks I'm completely mad. How can I blame her? She's got her own life, her own team, and is making real, tangible scientific progress. Here I come again, the very paragon of failure and false promises. But the reality is, I need Madison and whatever scientific team she may have assembled. I can't do this myself. Project Purity is bigger than me. It always was. Without Catherine, God, I can't let this die. Not again. Not like this.
That batch of tests was inconclusive, but Madison and I are convinced it's a problem with the secondary filtration system. We're going to recalibrate the equipment and try again tomorrow, so that... James, please. I'm trying to work. Now's not the time. So that's the next step. Assuming we get the results we need, we'll move on to... James! Stop! I need to finish these notes. We'll move on to diagnosing the issues with the radiation dampeners. That should... Ow! James! Now? We really shouldn't.
Something tells me that last entry is what led to my conception, and thus the events that have been unfolding. Finally, I had found and killed the final super mutant, and was now free to return back outside and tell the scientists that the way was clear.
Are you all right? Is it safe in there?
I tell him everything in there is dead.
I'm proud of you. Now let's get in there.
Before doing so, I ask if him and I could just talk for a minute.
Of course, son. What's on your mind?
I asked him how he could just leave me back at Vault 101.
I wanted you to be safe. I didn't want this for you. A life out here in this godforsaken war zone. I couldn't tell you what I was doing because I didn't want you following me. A plan which clearly was not as successful as I imagined it would be.
I asked him how he could put himself at risk like that.
What? No, of course not. This is important work. Clean water can change the lives of so many thousands of people. It's worth the risk to help them.
I ask, what about his own son?
I can understand that you're angry. You have a right to be. Perhaps the choice I made wasn't the right one. At the time, I thought I was doing what was best for you.
I tell him that we should just forget about it and get this whole thing over with.
I hope that you can understand why I've done the things that I've done. The last thing I want is to lose my son. Be careful, my son.
The conversation ends and the scientists begin to flock into the Jefferson Memorial. I follow, and along the way, some of them grab some essential items. Eventually, a select few of us enter inside of the rotunda. We ascend up to the control deck, and soon I speak again with my father.
Here we are, where it all began. You remember your mother's favorite passage? Revelation 21:6. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. Don't you see? This is what it all means. The water, the purifier. This is the water of life. Your mother's dream. No point in wasting time. Let's get to work. There's much to be done.
I ask what he needs me to do.
The project was abandoned shortly after you were born. Things have deteriorated here since then, and there's been some flooding. I'll need you to get to the flood control pumps and activate them so we can clear out the water and reach the mainframe.
I ask him where I need to go.
The automatic doors sealed when the flooding occurred, so you'll have to use the access tunnels to reach the pumps.
From here, I follow my quest marker, which leads me back into the sub-basement area. I approach the flood control power switch and activate it.
Great work on the pumps. Hurry back, and I'll give you the fuses you'll need.
Ascending back up to the rotunda, I spoke once more with my dad.
So, the pumps are working, and some of the doors are opened. We're making progress. Problem is that the water shorted out a few key fuse boxes. Here, take these fuses and replace the ones that have burnt out.
This brings me back to the sub-basement area, and after wandering around a little bit, I find the fuse box. Activating it, my dad speaks to me through the intercom again.
With the fuses in place, you should be able to access the mainframe. No need to come back to the control room. Just head straight there.
My quest marker leads me through a previously inaccessible door. On the other side are massive consoles and machines. I approach the center one and activate the mainframe.
Use the intercom so I can tell you where to go next. There are a few minor repairs still to be made up here in the control room. Why don't you come back here and give me a hand? Actually, wait. There's one other thing I need you to do. Janice says there's a blockage in one of the intake pipes. It's on your way back. Head back up to the museum level and give me a call on the intercom when you get there. Keep up the good work, son.
Seems like we're so close to getting where we need to be for Project Purity. Of course, barring the fact that we don't have a G.E.C.K yet. I ascend up the stairs and enter back out into the gift shop area. Where the quest marker leads me really doesn't feel like it's on the way, but I suppose it'll have to do for now. I go through a grate leading to the pump control and meander through some tunnels. Eventually, I come across the pipe controls and activate them. The mysterious Enclave have showed up, and it doesn't seem like they're here to talk. The way in which I came from is locked, so I have to continue onwards. Fortunately though, all I had to do was a little bit of platforming, and I found myself facing a door that went back into the sub-basement. Right away I found myself in a firefight. The Enclave are pretty tough and hardy enemies. They fight with plasma rifles, and don some power armor of their own. For now though, I only ended up needing to fight against two of them. The second one being in the gift shop area. Once they were taken care of, I went back inside of the rotunda to check up on the scientists and my dad.
State's government control. The person in charge is to step forward immediately and turn over all materials related to this project.
That's quite impossible. This is a private project. The Enclave has no authority here. I'm going to have to ask you to leave at once.
Am I to assume, sir, that you are in charge?
Yes, I'm responsible for this project.
Then I repeat, sir, that you are hereby instructed to immediately hand over all materials related to the purifier.
I'm sorry, but that's...
Furthermore, you are to assist Enclave scientists in assuming control of the administration and operation of this facility at once.
Colonel, is it Colonel? I'm sorry, but the facility is not operational. It never has been. I'm afraid you're wasting your time here.
Sir, this is the last time I am going to repeat myself. Stand down at once and turn over control of this facility.
Colonel, I assure you that this facility will not function. We have never been able to successfully replicate test results.
I suggest you comply immediately, sir, in order to prevent any more incidents. Are we clear?
Yes, Colonel. Do whatever you want. There's no need for more violence.
Then you will immediately hand over all materials related to this project and aid us in making it operational at once.
Very well. Give me a few moments to bring the system online.
Enough of these delays.
Almost ready. I'm compiling the data now. Run. Run!
In a heartbreaking manner, as quickly as I found him, I lost him. My dad sacrifices himself to keep Project Purity out of the hands of the Enclave.
James. He's gone. We have to get out of here. They'll be coming for us next. We've got to evacuate now.
I ask what had just happened.
James, your father caused an overload. He sacrificed himself to keep the Enclave from getting the Purifier, and to buy us some time to escape. There'll be more of them coming. We need to get out of here before they find us, or else your father died in vain.
I asked Dr. Lee how we get out of here.
We used an old abandoned tunnel as an escape route once before, many years ago. Everyone should know how to find it. We need to get there right now. Let's go.
The conversation ends and I follow Dr. Lee. She leads me back out into the gift shop and from there, through a manhole to the Taft tunnels.
Don't wander off. We're going to need you.
I ask her where we're going.
This tunnel leads to the Citadel, the Brotherhood of Steel's fortress. We should be safe there, if we can make it.
I ask her what's up ahead as she seems nervous.
I don't know what's ahead. That's the problem. No one has used these tunnels in years, but we can't stay put. The Enclave will find us eventually. We have to get moving.
I ask her if she has a plan.
We need to keep everyone together, and we need to get through this tunnel as quickly as possible. We're not safe until we reach the other side. You should stay close, and we'll follow behind you. We'll be right behind you. Be careful.
I take point, and the scientists follow behind me. There are some lootable supplies down here which certainly come in handy later. I had come across tunnels like these before in my previous travels, and unfortunately they too were nothing but trouble.
There's a locked door up ahead. I can open it, but it'll take some time.
Dr. Lee and the other scientists make a break for the door, but they begin to cower in fear. I wasn't sure why until I looked into the room beside the door. Enclave soldiers were posted on the rafters and taking potshots at us. Eventually, they make their way down and over, and the close quarters firefight begins. Luckily though, it doesn't take too long for Dr. Lee to get the door opened. Waiting on the other side though were a bunch of feral ghouls. Personally, I'd rather take the fight with the ghouls than the Enclave. I had to deal with both, but neither of them were super tricky. We continued to make our way through the Taft tunnels when all of a sudden, Dr. Lee stopped me.
We can't go any further. We need to stop.
I asked why stop now.
Garza has a heart condition. He needs medicine or he may not make it. I'm not moving until he gets the medicine he needs.
I ask what I can do to help him.
I don't have sufficient medical supplies with me, or else this wouldn't be a problem. If you have any stim packs, I would ask that you hand them over.
I absolutely didn't want to give this deadweight any of my stim packs, so I tried my luck with my speech.
Maybe you're right. Very well, I'll tell him, and then we'll continue. Let's make this quick.
Amazingly, I was able to convince Dr. Lee to leave this guy behind.
Garza, I'm sorry, but we must keep moving. If you can't keep up, I'm afraid we'll have to go on without you.
But what will I do? You would leave me here alone?
Garza, I'm sorry. We have to go now. We can't stop now. We need to keep going.
Part of the reason I also didn't want to help this man is because I full on saw him yank a bottle of alcohol from the Jefferson Memorial. If he's not going to help himself, I don't want to help him. Eventually, the crew got to a point where we were held down by gunfire. I was surprised to see though that everybody just made a run for the way out. Blocking our escape exit were a couple of feral ghouls. But again, I'd rather take on ghouls than the Enclave. In fact, it seemed like at this point within the Taft tunnels, we were free of the faction and in the thick of a mutant infestation. Soon though, we made it to a door, and on the other side was a sight for sore eyes. The Brotherhood of Steel was stationed here, and that meant we were likely just outside of the Citadel. All of us took a ladder back up to the capital Wasteland, and we had found ourselves outside of the Brotherhood of Steel Haven. Dr. Lee was the first to approach the doors.
I am Dr. Madison Lee. I have people with me in need of shelter. You must allow us access at once.
I'm sorry, ma'am. No unauthorized civilians allowed inside the Citadel. You'll have to leave now.
Lions! I know you're in there! I know you can hear me! You open this goddamn door right now!
Dr. Lee manages to find a safe passage inside, and together we continue onwards.
Need something, friend?
Madison, I'm surprised to see you here. What can I do for you?
Don't talk down to me, Lions. I had nowhere else to turn. You must help us. Project Purity has been overrun.
Yes, I'd heard reports of an incident there. What details can you give us?
The Enclave. They've attacked Project Purity. James is dead. There may be more, I don't know. You have to do something.
Then it's as we feared. Madison, I'm sorry this happened. I wish we could have done something.
Then do something now. They've taken over the Purifier. Lions, they cannot be permitted to have control over it. It's not right.
No. Calm down. You know as well as I do that the Purifier doesn't work. It's useless to them. Perhaps it's time to walk away.
That's not true. James, he found what's been missing. We know how to get it running.
Is that so? Does the Enclave know this?
No, I don't think... I don't know. I just don't know what's happening anymore.
All right, Madison, it'll be okay. Now, this is James's son, I presume? I can see the resemblance.
Yes. He knows what we need. Vault-Tec computer, something to locate equipment. Please help him.
Very well. We'll sort this all out.
I need to rest, lie down or something. This is just too much. Rothschild should help you, but don't forget that he's Brotherhood. I've never trusted them. Be careful what you tell them.
On the inside of the Citadel, I run into my old friend Senator Lyons again. It's revealed here that she's actually the daughter of the leader of the Brotherhood of Steel. There's no time to chat though, as I need to make my way over to Scribe Rothschild. The courtyard section of the Citadel is seemingly the training zone for the Brotherhood of Steel. I make my way into the laboratory section, and soon find my person of interest.
May I start by saying that I am sorry for your loss. I was acquainted with your father many years ago. The world has lost one of its few remaining visionaries.
I thank him for his sympathy.
Think nothing of it. Now, Dr. Lee has explained your predicament. You need to locate some Vault-Tec equipment?
I ask him if he knows where to find a G.E.C.K.
A G.E.C.K? Goodness, no. Certainly not. I must say that there are some who doubt such a device really exists, let alone works. If, however, you share your father's determination, I may be able to assist you in locating one.
I ask him if he knows how to find it.
Possibly. I'm afraid I won't be able to assist you directly. The news Dr. Lee has brought will require me to be elsewhere. I can, however, give you access to an old pre-war computer from Vault-Tec. It may have the information you need.
You'll find the terminal in the archives in the A-Ring.
I thank him for his help.
You are welcome. If you require further assistance, I may be able to help.
To get to the A-Ring, I'm brought back out into the courtyard and then ushered into another building. The quest marker points me over to a computer. I use it and begin to sift through. Looking at the DC area vault listings, I start with Vault 76 and don't find anything about a G.E.C.K. The next one I look at though, Vault 87, yields more promising results. I log off the terminal, leave the A-Ring section, and return back to Scribe Rothschild for more information.
Ah, you're back. You need something else now.
I tell him what I've learned of Vault 87.
Ah, well, that much I believe I can help with. Step over here for a moment. I'll show you where it is.
Following Scribe Rothschild, he brings me over to a giant digital map of the DC Wasteland.
This map shows the locations of all known vaults in the local area. Vault 87 has been highlighted for you. There. Entrance to Vault 87 will be particularly difficult for you, I'm afraid.
I ask why.
The area is highly irradiated. Lethal levels are all around the entrance. Gaining direct access will be quite impossible.
I ask how I can get through the radiation.
Quite simply, you don't. To attempt such a thing would be certain death for you.
I ask if there's another way.
You share your father's determination, it seems. And in this case, you are correct. There may well be another way. Vault 87 is located very close to the site of Lamplight Caverns. It is entirely probable that the vault may be entered from within the caves.
I tell him that I'm gonna go check it out for myself.
The Brotherhood simply cannot spare the resources necessary to investigate the area. Perhaps you may be more successful. If you do find anything, please return here so that we may decide how best to proceed.
I once again thank him for his help.
I wish we could do more, but the Brotherhood potentially faces a very pressing, very real threat in the Enclave. All of my efforts must now be devoted to assessing the threat they may pose to us. I'm sure you understand.
Sure.
I take a look at my map and see that the Little Lamplight Caverns are far to the west. Fortunately though, it's not too far off from Smith Casey's garage. Before leaving, I gain special permissions from Elder Lyons to trade with the Brotherhood of Steel as well as to train in power armor. I found Paladin Gunny outside and spoke with him.
Heard you were coming. Yeah, I can train you, but don't ask me to like it. My initiates sweat blood, and you just get a free pass? Anyway, you ready for this? Now look, to wear power armor, first thing you need to do is relax your muscles. Let the suit do the work, okay? Now you.
And just like that, I received the proper training needed to don more powerful armor. It was now time to fast travel over to Smith Casey's garage. Notable events on the way over to Little Lamplight include taking on a Mr. Gutsy. I also encountered and fought my very first G.E.C.K. They don't have a lot of health, but they do hit incredibly hard. Along the way, I fought a few more minor enemies and was third party to a few other fights. Pretty soon, I arrived at the Lamplight Caverns. I followed my quest marker and delved further into the cave, eventually coming across a peculiar roadblock. This was guarded by someone even more interesting.
Hold it right there, mister! Don't take another step or we'll blow your fucking head off.
I tell him to take it easy and that I'm a friend.
You're big, and I don't have any big friends. You better just go out the way you came in.
I tell this Mayor McCready that I really need to get into Vault 87.
You don't want to go there. That's where the monsters are. We got pretty good at keeping them out. Probably better than you could do. The big ones. You know, the ones that sort of look like people, except they're all wrong.
I ask him if he knows the way then.
Yeah, I do. But it's through Little Lamplight, and you're not getting into Little Lamplight. Guess you better find some other way, Mungo.
I ask what this place is.
This is Little Lamplight. We live here, and we don't need no Mungos messing it up. So just take a hike.
I ask if I could be let in.
Hell no! No Mungos allowed!
I ask how I can get him to trust me.
Why should I trust you? I got no reason to. You Mungos are nothing but trouble. I ain't gonna let what happened to Sammy and Squirrel happen to anyone else.
I inquire about what happened to the two of them.
Them and Penny got themselves caught. By Mungos, just like you. Slavers from Paradise Falls. I told them to watch out, but the stupid kids didn't listen.
I asked that if I could get all of them back, would the mayor then trust me?
You do that? Maybe. If you can bring them back, I might let you in.
I take a quick look at my map and see that Paradise Falls is a good distance northeast. So with my path clearly set, I exit back out into the capital Wasteland and begin my journey. Notable events include coming across multiple raider camps, the first one being not so difficult to deal with, and the second one proving to be a little more so. I also came across an Enclave outpost, which seemed pretty fitting for where the game's supposed to go. It was here that I picked up and equipped my first set of power armor. I also came across my very first Mirelurk. They're creepy crustacean-like creatures, and I'm glad it didn't get too close to me. Soon, I arrived just outside of Paradise Falls. Approaching the entrance, I was quickly spoken to.
Hold it right there. Nobody's allowed into Paradise Falls except on slaver business. and I get to decide what qualifies as slaver business.
I ask if I can head on up.
You? I don't think so. You're not really... Let's just say that you wouldn't fit in up there. So why don't you just turn around and head back the way you came?
I tell him that I just want to look around and that I won't cause any trouble.
You want to look around? Where the hell do you think you are? Stop wasting my time, asshole.
I try my luck with speech and say that everybody has a price.
We might be able to work something out, but it won't be cheap. If I vouch for you and you go mess up our groove, it's my ass on the line. I think 500 caps should cover it. What do you say?
I clarify the deal.
That's what I said. Bring me the caps and I'll vouch for you. Good luck.
I didn't even have anywhere near 500 caps to begin with, and I certainly wasn't going to hand them over to a slaver. So I decided to just handle things the Fallout way. I began by gunning down Grouse, and then taking care of the slaver behind him. Moving forward, I got caught in a firefight with a person named 40. After gunning him down, I looted a Paradise Falls box key off of him and looked around the area. This is where I found one of the kids, Sammy.
Oh man, they're gonna be mad at you. These slaver guys are mean. Listen, you gotta help us. Me and my friends, we gotta get at home. Can you help? Can you get us out of here?
I ask what I can do for them.
This collar, it's gotta get turned off, or else I can't get out of here. You saw what happened to that other guy. And then Squirrel and Penny, they're still inside, locked in the cage. You gotta get them out too. No way the slavers are gonna let them walk out. So you're gonna have to bust them out. Think you can handle it?
I tell him that I'll get everybody out of here.
You're okay for a Mungo. Squirrel and Penny are still stuck inside. You need to get the key to the slave pen to get him out. That 40 asshole has one. And so does the boss guy, Eulogy. Go get him!
Fortunately, I had already picked up the key, so I was able to just go on inside. The fights from before were definitely the appetizers compared to these ones. There were named enemies and slavers targeting me from every angle. At one point, things got pretty hairy when one of them showed up with a rocket launcher. I slowly made my way forward, killing any enemy in my path, soon arriving at the cages holding the trapped kids.
Man, what a mess. Don't get yourself killed, Mungo. I already shorted out the fence system so our collars won't blow. I bet they won't even notice. We're getting out of here!
Squirrel and Penny make a break for it, and I follow them. Exiting back outside of the compound, I speak with Sammy one more time.
Thanks for getting us out of there, Mungo. We're gonna head back home now. I'd think twice about coming back here if I were you. These guys aren't going to forget you, you know.
With the kids all rescued, I fast traveled back to Lamplight Caverns. Going back inside, I spoke again with Mayor McCready.
You again? I told you to get lost!
I tell him that I rescued his friends.
I guess you're okay after all, Mungo. You can come in, but you better not piss me off.
With that, the way through Little Lamplight opens up. Their society is certainly very interesting. One of the kids turned 18 and they outcasted him. Little Lamplight in of itself is pretty big. There are multiple ways to go and several different areas. One of the NPCs named Princess guards the back gate to Vault 87. She tells me though that I need Mayor McCready's permission in order to go through it. Whilst looking for him, I stumble into their great chamber. It's pretty impressive post-war architecture for something that's been built in a cave. It takes me longer than expected, but soon find Mayor McCready.
Okay, so you get in, but I got my eye on you. You don't make any trouble in here, got it? I ain't having no shit butts making trouble.
I tell him that I won't be causing any.
Good. Better stay that way, Mungo.
I tell him that I really need to get into Vault 87.
It's not safe, even for someone as brave as you. There's monsters back there.
I clarify that he knows the way.
Yeah, I do. It's through Murder Pass. Not a real safe way to go, but it's the only door that works.
I wonder if that's the only way.
It's the only way that works, yeah. The other door hasn't worked since before I was here. Computer's busted and not even Joseph can make it work.
I ask where I can find Joseph.
I'm the mayor, not a babysitter, Mungo. Beats me. Maybe he's back there by the door. Fuck if I know.
I tell him that I'll just go through Murder Pass.
You sure about that? It's scary in there. Even I don't like going in there, and I'm really brave.
I tell him I'm sure.
Okay, if you say so. Come on, let's get the gate open for you, Mungo.
Mayor McCready runs off and I follow him. We arrive at the gate where both him and Princess raise it for me. I bid them farewell and go through the door leading to Murder Pass. As figured through the mayor's description, there were a lot of super mutants in here, and just per my luck, a lot of them were brutes. The caves twisted and meandered, with seemingly an enemy at every corner. I soon found myself in a small relief zone. Here, there were ammo crates and medical supplies, enough to keep me restocked for the journey ahead. Soon, I found myself in a zone called the Reactor Chamber. Here, I completed the quest, picking up the trail, and started a new one called Finding the Garden of Eden. Leveling up and going through the necessary motions, I continued forward into Vault 87. The vault was definitely dark and tense, and it seems like it hasn't been used in quite some time, at least by regular humans. Almost right away into Vault 87, I started to come across super mutants, the majority of which were brutes. Other than the terrifying atmosphere, Vault 87 felt pretty similar to Vault 101. There were no quest markers to follow, so I was sort of just rummaging around in the dark. I felt like I had a decent sense of direction though when it came to where I was supposed to go. After killing what felt like at least a dozen super mutants, I found my way to the next zone called the Test Labs. After going through a few more fights and wandering around a little bit more, I came across one of the strangest things I think I've seen in this game.
Your time, over there! Please, come speak to me. I'm in the room to your left. Oh, the intercom next to the window. That was barely a fight. It can't be. Either you are quite real, I am going quite mad. Could you actually be a pure human?
I say yes, but ask what they are.
Me? You care who I am? Forgive me. I'm not used to pleasantries. I'm more used to grunts and being struck about by the others. My name's Fox. I've lived in this cage all my life.
I say that it's ironic that his kind considers him a mutant.
Yes, indeed it is ironic. Forgive my astonishment, but I hadn't expected to meet someone with such a learned outlook of these things. It is a pleasant change. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. It was only a matter of time before someone like you showed up for the G.E.C.K.
I ask what he knows of it.
I know what it is. I know where it is. And best of all, I know how you can get your hands on it.
I wonder why he would help me.
Because you can help me. Let me out of this place. I can't take it anymore. I can't even recall how long I've been here. Take me with you, and I'll retrieve the G.E.C.K for you.
I ask why it would be a difficult task.
The chamber in which the G.E.C resides is absolutely flooded with radiation. It's unlikely you'd survive very long. Myself, on the other hand, have surprisingly inherited a useful trait from my fellow meta-humans. I am highly resistant to radiation. Let me out of here, and I will place the G.E.C safely in your hands.
I ask how I can release him.
At the end of the hallway, to your right is a maintenance room. Inside, you'll find the fire control console for the medical area. Trip the alarm on it, and I'll be able to get out. Oh, a word of warning, though. Tripping the console activates a failsafe and will open all the recovery rooms in the medical area. So, what do you think? Can you do it?
I tell him that we have a deal.
Glad to see you are a sensible person. Now, get me out of this place. I can't stand it anymore.
Following Fox's instructions, I turn to my right and go down the hall. Some of the chambers unfortunately have enemies in them. One of them even has a human, oddly enough. I end up only needing to fight 2 super mutants. The room in which they were guarding contained the fire controls. I tripped the alarm, and seemingly all of the doors were opened. Sid the human is fighting against a centaur. I help him out, and then for some reason he decides to turn his attention towards me. I'm forced to kill him, but that's all the enemies I needed to take care of in order to get back to Fox.
Finally! Freedom! True freedom! Ha ha ha! I cannot thank you enough for this gift. You have no idea how long I've pictured this moment in my mind, and it feels far better than I'd imagined. Now, for my part of the bargain, follow me.
So far, Fox seems true to his word, and he hasn't turned against me just yet. Fortunately, Fox has no love for his kind, as he helps out in the fights against the super mutants. I did have to do my due diligence in making sure that I didn't accidentally fire against him. He's a big guy, so he gets in the way, but he moves pretty slow, so it's pretty easy to avoid him. There were no quest markers, but I knew I just had to follow Fox. Eventually, he stopped outside of a doorway.
Okay, you stay here. Beyond this door, the hallways and chambers are flooded with radiation. I'll get the case and bring it right back. Keep your eyes open. Any of my lesser-minded brethren are bound to stumble across us.
I waited outside of the hallway for probably around 30 or so seconds. I had my eyes on the doorway in which we came from, as well as the radiation-filled hallways. Luckily, nothing ever showed up, and Fox actually returned.
Here's the G.E.C.K. Our bargain is complete. As promised. Yeah, here's the G.E.C.K. I hope it's worth it. I'm afraid this is where you and I part company. I'll find my way out of this place. Don't worry. Maybe we'll meet again somewhere in the Wasteland.
Fox actually hands it over, and our bargain is seemingly complete. With this legendary device in my hands, all that's left to do now is leave Vault 87 and return back to the Brotherhood. I retrace my steps in order to find the way out.
Objective is secured, sir.
Good work, soldier. Make sure the G.E.C.K is secured aboard my vertibird.
Yes, sir. I'll have the techs come down and remove it immediately, sir.
You're certain he's unharmed?
Yes, sir. He'll pass out shortly, but we can revive him.
Excellent. Prepare him for transport immediately.
Right away, sir.
So, you're awake. Let's keep this nice and simple. You're going to tell me the code for that purifier, and you're going to tell me now.
I ask him what's going on here.
I'll tell you what's going on here. You lost. The good guys won this one, and now we're just wrapping up loose ends. We've got the purifier, now we just need the code to start it. You're going to give me that code now, and save us all a lot of trouble. Maybe I'll even let you go. So how about it?
I ask why he wants the code so badly.
You know why. We can't start the purifier without it. The longer the purifier isn't running, the more people suffer. Now I'm running out of patience, son. I want that code, and I want it now.
I tell him that I don't know what the code is.
You lie.
Colonel, I have need of you.
Mr. President, I have no time for other matters. I'll be with you shortly.
Now, Colonel.
Yes, sir.
Alone at last. I do apologize for Colonel Autumn's attitude. He's been under a great deal of stress lately. I've no doubt that you know who I am. I'm sure you've heard my radio broadcasts. I'd like to have a word with you face to face. I think there are a few things that you and I should discuss. You'll find your possessions in the locker near the door. I'll unlock the way for you. And I'll unlock your restraints as well. I'll be waiting for you in my office. Please don't carry.
The situation at hand is pretty confusing. I've been captured by the Enclave and they took the G.E.C.K from me. It seemed like I was a prisoner, but now the president of the Enclave himself wants to speak directly with me. I pulled all of my gear out of the locker and exited the room.
Hold it right there. You're supposed to be in that holding cell. You're not going anywhere. There's a full complement of guards in the next room. As soon as I get them, you're going back to your cell. In a body bag if necessary.
I use my strength attribute to intimidate him.
I have somewhere else to be.
I continue to walk through the Enclave base when I hear this message.
Attention to all Raven Rock personnel. This is your president speaking. I've invited our guests from Vault 101 to my office. Here. Please do not impede his progress. Thank you for your cooperation.
Thinking that I have immunity, I freely walk through the hallways. The Enclave base is pretty interesting looking. It definitely reminds me of a sci-fi futuristic spaceship.
Attention! This is Colonel Autumn. You are hereby ordered to ignore the President's previous directive. The prisoner from Vault 101 is to be shot on sight. I repeat, shot on sight. This is an order.
Just when I thought things were going to be easy, they proved to get even more difficult. It seems like now every single Enclave soldier in the base is turned against me. One thing this shows though is that there's definitely some turmoil going on within the Enclave. It seems as though there's some power struggle between Colonel Autumn and the President himself. Going through a door leading to the control room, it seems like I'm about to have the fight of my life on the other side. Fortunately though, it seems like I do have some things going for me, as the civil war within clearly continues. I progress further, following my quest marker, which leads me to a monitor labeled President Eden.
Ah, face to face at last. It's high time we met. I'm quite pleased you were able to make it. The trip was not what I had intended, but serves as an adequate test of your abilities.
I question why he hides behind a monitor.
Ah, but I have. I'm right here before you. You're seeing me in a way that only a few select individuals have. Wouldn't they be jealous? Colonel Autumn is the only human permitted in this room besides yourself, for reasons which may now be clear to you.
I use my intelligence to say that it makes sense why I've only ever heard his voice.
Very astute. Many people are content with a reassuring voice of authority, and never question the lack of public appearances. You, however, are not many people. You are unique. That is why I have asked you here. I think there are some things we should discuss.
I tell him I'm listening.
Our nation's capital is at a crossroads. The path that you and I choose here today will affect us all. I need you to act on my behalf to ensure that our country's future is secured.
I ask him to explain.
My abilities to influence the world are limited at this time. I alone can only do so much. You, however, may come and go as you please. You have a greater degree of freedom. Perhaps it's best if I explain why things need to change, and why I'd like you to act on my behalf. Our land is ravaged by mutation. The war was so many years ago, and yet we still suffer from its effects. We cannot move forward until humanity can gain a solid foothold in the world. To do so, we must rid ourselves of the mutations that have plagued us for so long. These super mutants, ghouls, hideous creatures. I believe your father's work can do that in a way unlike any other.
I ask how my father's work is relevant.
The purifier your father helped create has the ability to provide clean water to the whole of this capital wasteland. With a simple modification, it can be used to distribute agents that destroy mutated creatures upon ingestion. In time, we could eliminate all mutations in the wasteland. At the same time, the good people of the world regain their health. I need you to make the modification necessary for this to succeed.
I ask how I would do this.
In front of you will be a vial of modified FEV virus. It can be inserted into the control console for the purifier. Doing so will inject it into the water supply, and the purifier will take care of the rest. You just need the code to activate the purifier. Simple, isn't it?
I say that'll give it some thought.
I I understand. It's an unusual request. One I wouldn't make if it weren't of the utmost importance. Please understand that I cannot allow you to leave until you've taken the vial.
Using science, I try to convince him that he should die.
Really? Do go on.
I say that he's not programmed for self-awareness.
This is quite true. The process was certainly unintended, but shouldn't we all be thankful that I'm here now?
I ask how he knows what he's doing is right.
Because unlike humans, I am infallible.
From here, I talk him into circles, trying to confuse him.
Because I've been programmed to be, of course. Processing. Internal logic error detected. Resetting primary memory circuits. Please stand by. Perhaps there is a problem. I am unsure how to proceed.
I tell him he should shut himself down as well as the whole base.
Processing directive. New directive accepted. Self-destruct sequence initialized. Civilian is advised to remove hazardous FEV material and exit at once.
I take the modified FEV virus, turn around and go. All hell is broken loose on the base as it's robots versus humans. The Enclave soldiers are seemingly still my enemies, but the robots are doing a very good job of keeping them at bay. Soon I find the door leading out and exit back to the capital Wasteland. Immediately I come across a friendly face.
My friend! I see I found you at last! I knew you had survived, and I had hoped to assist in your rescue, to repay my debt to you.
I comment on his new gun.
Yes, and the most fascinating one at that. Whoa, this technology is amazing. Imagine the evil that can be eliminated with such tools.
I ask what he's doing here.
I saw your capture, and a little cleverness allowed me to follow your captors. I only wish I could have arrived sooner to aid your escape. As I owe you my freedom, I felt it was only fair that I return the favor. After all, I know no one else in this world.
I ask him if he wants to follow me.
I appreciate the offer, but I must decline. I have an entire world to explore, and I must not be delayed any further. I have read about a great museum of history to the south. Perhaps I will head there. Goodbye, my friend. Perhaps I will join you in the future if your goals are virtuous enough to draw me away.
As Fox and I are leaving, the Raven Rock Enclave base begins to explode. This will surely put a dent in the war between them and the Brotherhood of Steel. Fox and I part ways as I fast travel back to the Citadel. Arriving, I rush to the laboratories in an attempt to find Scribe Rothschild and Elder Lyons.
All I'm saying is, the longer we sit here, the more time they have to shore up their defenses. We should hit them sooner rather than later.
We barely have the manpower to keep the Citadel fortified. We've been over this before, Sarah.
So we just wait until they decide we're next on the list? If the Pride goes in now, we might have a chance.
And if you fail, then what? The risk is not worth the reward.
I agree. Without the G.E.C.K, the Purifier is useless to the Enclave anyway. They may give up before long.
I don't like it.
You don't have to like it, Sarah. You just have to follow orders.
Yes, Father.
So, you're back. We had feared both you and the G.E.C. were lost. Were you successful?
I tell him that I'd found it.
Excellent. With that, we hold the key to keeping the Enclave from controlling the Purifier.
I then tell him that the Enclave stole it.
Then we must go at once. If you have any other information, tell me now before we mobilize. Any help you can give might save lives.
I tell him about the FEV modified virus.
I see. And where is this virus now?
I decide to lie and say that I don't have it.
Just as well, no good could come from it. We need to decide on a course of action. Something must be done.
If the Enclave has the G.E.C., there's nothing stopping them from starting the Purifier. They'll figure out the code eventually.
I'm afraid you're right. We need to act now while we can.
Send the Pride in. We can do it. We can win this.
All right, Sarah. The Pride goes in. but I want them to have some extra firepower. Rothschild, is it ready?
What? No, I mean, Lee and I have solved the power problems, but we've only barely finished diagnostic tests.
So?
It's not ready for field tests, let alone live fire situations. The weapons haven't been calibrated, the navigation detection system is offline.
Rothschild, enough. Can you make it work?
Honestly, I don't know. I think we can scrape by, and I suppose if we can't, it won't matter in the long run anyway.
Then it's decided. Sarah, you take the Pride and use the robot as support. Take our friend here and secure that purifier.
Yes, sir. Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that my father and I have been talking. The Pride and I have decided that after all you've survived, you've done enough to be an honorary member of Lion's Pride. So congratulations. Membership comes with some privileges, including our power armor. You want the full suit or the recon armor?
I tell her I'll take the power armor.
Sure thing. Hopefully, it'll give you a bit of an extra edge. Okay. So do you think you can hold it together for this?
I say of course.
Now that's what I like to hear, soldier. You all packed? We're not coming back here anytime soon.
I tell her that I'm ready to go.
Okay, don't be nervous. You'll have the whole Pride backing you up, not to mention this giant tin can. Just stay safe until we reach the purifier. You're no good to us if you're dead. And don't let that thing step on you. Okay, we're going to go over it one more time. The Pride is on me. The goal is Project Purity, but we can't get into the facility with those energy fields up. Rothschild and Lee say this robot should be able to take down the energy fields. So we're on fire support. We stay close to the thing, keep it clear, and get it to where it needs to go. Once the fields are down, we head straight for the facility. We'll use the robot to keep them occupied while we get inside and secure the control room. We need to move quickly before we lose the chance to surprise them. Get whatever supplies you don't already have, and we'll meet in the Bailey. When we're done with this, everyone can have a nice cold glass of water on me. Let's move. All right, Rothschild, fire it up. Pride, move out!
In a tense conversation, the story quickly progresses. Judging from the dialogue and everybody's demeanor, this is likely going to be our last stand against the Enclave. Exiting the laboratory, I lay eyes on a crane moving Liberty Prime, likely dropping it onto the battlefield. Together, the Pride moves out and exits the Citadel. I take point and rush towards Liberty Prime. The assault begins, and the robot shows just how much of a beast it is. Together, we all keep our distance behind it as it takes point and leads the charge. This fight is nothing short of epic. Most interestingly, I never really even had to fire off a shot. Liberty Prime did a great job at taking out the Enclave. What I did have to be careful about though, were all of the nearby explosions and missiles. There were times when I would get too close to Liberty Prime, and all of the focused fire from the Enclave would affect me. It led the Pride through the downtown DC area, until eventually, our sights were set on the Jefferson Memorial. We breached the perimeter, and the Pride, along with Liberty Prime, continued to clear out the Enclave. Once the pathway to the gift shop was cleared, I made a beeline for it. Inside, there were a couple of Enclave soldiers guarding the rest of the way. We engaged in a firefight, and the situation got pretty hairy. I had a few close calls, needing to heal myself, but eventually broke through the Enclave resistance. I advanced to level 13, maxing out small guns, repair, and medicine, picking the intense training perk, and putting a point into agility. With the way forward finally clear, I entered inside of the rotunda.
You again. I can't say I'm surprised. You and your ilk seem hell-bent on destroying everything our government has worked to achieve. There's nothing to stop me from killing you this time. Let's end this.
I tell the Colonel to give up and that he's lost.
I beg to differ. The Enclave is at the height of its power. Once this facility is operational, the masses will flock to the Enclave for fresh water, protection, and a plan for the future.
I convince him that Raven Rock is gone and that he's got nothing left.
The American people are worth fighting for. The future must be secured. I won't let you stand in the way of that.
I try to convince him that more fighting will only make things worse.
You're in over your head, and no amount of talking is going to get you out of it. Once you're dead, we'll finish off this pathetic Brotherhood and become the true saviors of the Wasteland. This ends now!
The conversation ends and I gun down Colonel Autumn. His body falls into the irradiated water, never to be seen again. His personal guard fires on me, decreasing my health to critically low amounts. Eventually though, all of the enemies within the rotunda are defeated, and I approach the purification chamber. The doors are still sealed, but there's an auxiliary station which allows me to place the FEV modified virus. I think long and hard of what I want to do here. I know that in my heart the Enclave can't be trusted, but I also know that if the mutants of the capital Wasteland were eradicated, it would be a better place. In the end, I decide to contaminate the waters. Soon, Sendin Alliance comes rushing in.
Well, that takes care of that. By now, the Pride should be mopping up whatever opposition is left outside. Let's get this room secured.
From a distance, we hear a terrified Dr. Lee speaking on the intercom.
Dr. Lee, it's Sarah Lyons. I'm in the control room. We're both here. What's going on?
I've been monitoring the equipment remotely, and we have a serious problem. The facility has been damaged during the fighting. Some of it looks accidental, some of it may have been sabotage. There's pressure building up in the holding tanks. It needs to be released now, or else the whole facility could explode. To release the pressure, you're going to have to turn the purifier on. Do you understand me? It has to be turned on now! If I'm reading this right, I'm afraid there are lethal levels of radiation inside the chamber. I'm sorry. I wish there was some other way, but there's just no time. It has to be done now, or the damage will be catastrophic.
Well, so much for celebrating. One of us is going to have to go in there and turn the damn thing on. And whoever does it isn't coming back out. Not exactly how I imagined going out, you know? So, what should we do? Draw straws?
Following in the example of my father, I volunteer to go in there.
You're going to have to be quick about it. If the radiation is bad enough, you won't have much time. I won't forget what you've done here. No one will. Thank you.
The conversation ends, and I step inside of the control deck. The door lowers, and immediately my body is filled with radiation. I approach the console and type in the code 216, my mother and father's favorite Bible passage. Once done, I press enter.
And so it was that the lone wanderer ventured forth from Vault 101, intent on discovering the fate of a father who had once sacrificed the future of humanity for that of his only child. The capital Wasteland proved a cruel, inhospitable place. But it was not until the end of this long road that the lone wanderer learned the true meaning of that greatest of virtues, sacrifice. Stepping into the irradiated control chamber of Project Purity, the child followed the example of the father, sacrificing life itself for the greater good of mankind. Sadly, when selected by the sinister president to be his instrument of annihilation, the Wanderer agreed. Humanity would be preserved, but only in its purest form. The waters of life flowed at last, but the virus contained within soon eradicated all those deemed unworthy of salvation. The capital Wasteland, despite its progress, became a graveyard. So ends the story of the lone wanderer, who stepped through the great door of Vault 101 and into the annals of legend. But the tale of humanity will never come to a close, for the struggle of survival is a war without end. And war never changes.
The story of Fallout 3's main questline is so unique and explorative. You start out as a boy, sheltered by the perfect facade, only to be thrown out into the real and terrifying world. Along the way, you meet friends and foes who try to push you in certain directions. Your character is changed along the way, whether for the better or for the worse. Nevertheless though, your goal remains the same, to find your father, who's the only family you have left in this forsaken world. As quickly as you find him, you end up losing him. A perfectly written tragedy in its own right. Together, with the contacts and acquaintances you've made along the way, you step into your father's shoes and finish the work that he started, completing the perfectly story-driven circle. The gameplay and action within Fallout speaks for itself, as looting, exploring, and fighting are never-ending segments of excitement and fun. Ultimately, even after 16 years of this game being out, getting older, and having its features become more and more dated, it's still one of the finer and most innovative video games that I've ever played. What a pleasure it was to get to experience the story again after all these years. Thank you everybody for watching, and until next time, keep on adventuring.